Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. She felt so weak, so totally useless. She had worked so hard since the Chunin exams to get strong. Yet here she was tied to a post like a helpless little girl. She knew in her place Neji would have easily beaten all three of them. She knew their jutsu should have been no match for her gentle fist. Hinata glanced quickly at the older kunoichi standing nearby, while the two brothers, as she'd learned they were, and the girl was probably their older sister. But she wasn't positive, was standing near the rock wall of the valley, looking at her like they wanted to violate her. She hoped Naruto found her first or her teammates. Her head suddenly whipped up and towards the two brothers as the wall behind them exploded in what looked like a water jutsu, but the rock wasn't thrown out. It just vanished. Then it hit the brothers, caught by surprise as well, utterly erasing their existence. Then the shimmering, watery-looking gout retracted back into the wall, and to her surprise, turning into what looked like a big metallic ring surrounding a pond turned on its side. But what appeared to resemble water wasn't spilling out. Another very distant planet 5 minutes ago. He ducked behind the big rock, panting, and glanced to his left. Monks, you said. Trust me, you said. They won't know we were there until we're gone, you said. He groused between breaths. He rose up and fired a short burst with his trusty P90, killing the Joffa coming down the hill 30 yards away. It worked in the movie. The man in glasses replied calmly and noted the expression on the older man's face. He was clearly annoyed with the current situation. I know. Shut up, Daniel. Daniel supplied helpfully and mentally smiled. It had been barely 7 weeks since his ascension, and he was already back in his usual rut. Daniel loved it, but he wasn't going to admit it to Jack. It was a good movie, and the plan seemed sound. The biggest man of the small group said in his typical flat tone of voice, it almost worked, Daniel. You'll be in charge again someday. Don't worry, we got out alive, and that's what matters. Dial us home, we'll hold them off, the blonde woman added. Yeah. When I'm an old man. Thanks, Sam. Sorry, Jack. Tilk, Daniel replied. He sighed, smirked, and ran for the DHD. Tilk stood and fired off 2 shots with his staff, killing one of the advancing Jaffa. He quickly re-yelled behind the large rock he had chosen as cover, shielding him as a bolt of energy passed over his head. With a tight grin, Sam added, technically, sir, it didn't work because we forgot to ask if there was a password before knocking him out. She added to the conversation by firing off a long burst with her P90, dropping 2 more advancing Joffas. I know, I'll buy him a beer or something. Okay, Jack replied, then turned when he heard the whoosh. Sam signal him so we don't splatter on the iris. Move out, Jack commanded, then stood and moved toward the gate, sweeping a small group of Jaffa with short controlled bursts from his P90, providing cover fire and skillfully hitting several of them. Sam pulled a device from her pocket and punched in the code to activate the Stargate. Ready to go, sir. They all broke cover and ran straight for the gate. Just before they reached it, the gate was struck by 2 enemy staff blasts at once. None of the retreating party noted the symbols ringing, the Stargate momentarily flashing as it absorbed the impact of energy bolts. In the defense, they were a tad busy dodging the incoming staff fire. Sam and Jack triggered off long and short bursts over their shoulders with their P90s in response. Naruto's world location. They exited the gate and halted in their tracks in shock. Daniel, where's our base? Jack asked with a sarcastic, curious tone. I don't understand. I dialed the same address I always do. Daniel replied, quite confused by the setting around them. A female voice screamed in rage. What did you do to my brothers? They all turned towards the source of the frantic voice. It was a brunette in a long brown coat. What's she doing with her hands? Jack asked, very confused with the turn of events. Stinging swarm jutsu, she yelled out, flinging open her coat as hundreds of bees came flying out. Jack's eyes widened in shock. Oh. Okay, that's a new one. From somewhere behind them, a young male voice yelled out, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The SG-1 team watched in stunned amazement as about 24 blonde kids in orange jumpsuits appeared out of nowhere and attacked the oncoming swarm. They watched the scene in awe and shock as the blonde kids, all of them identical in appearance, started vanishing in puffs of smoke. "Get away from Hinata-chan," they heard him yell, pointing to another girl. They then noticed, bound to a nearby post and smiling at the blonde boy. Apparently, they were friends, and the other older girl was an enemy. Sam's head swiveled about like it was on ball bearings. What the hell is going on? Are those actually copies of him? They watched as the brown-clad female bit her thumb, made some more signs with her hands, then slapped the ground and cried out, "Summon." There was a huge puff of smoke, and out of it, a queen bee the size of a bus appeared. The older girl immediately jumped on its back. The blonde kid, instead of running away, just smiled in response and made a cross with his fingers, and another perfect copy of him appeared out of a cloud of smoke. The original held his hand out, palm up, as the copy moved its hands rapidly over the original's hand until a blue ball of energy appeared. Then the copy vanished. Jack commented out loud, "Any idea what the hell is going on?" Daniel replied, "If I didn't know better, I'd say we're in the middle of a bad kung fu movie." He added silently, "This can't be real, can it?" They watched in amazement as the blonde youth charged straight at the woman standing atop the giant bee, then leapt a good 30 feet into the air, shoving T. He blew ball at its head as he yelled, "Renon." Just as the ball of energy hit, the huge insect whipped its tail up and seemed to impale the boy with an equally large stinger. At that, the outsized insect exploded in a cloud of smoke. Both the woman and blonde fell to the ground. The bound, dark-haired girl screamed, "Naruto," and slumped over in a faint. The blonde boy had landed hard and seemed to be knocked out. However, the older girl landed equally hard, but on her feet. Jack announced, "Okay, I've seen enough. We can sort this all out later." He punctuated his remark with a shot from his Zat, stunning the older girl. Jack pointed with his Zat and started issuing orders. "Daniel, grab the kid. Sam, free the girl in the gray coat and bring her too. There should be a DHD somewhere nearby. Tilk, find it. We're getting the hell out of here before things get any weirder." Jack shook his head. "Hammond's going to think we're drunk or crazy when we do the debrief on all this, __. Tilk quickly found the DHD in some nearby bushes, cleared them away, and dialed in the combination that would get them home. Sam sent the code again, and they went through the gate. It closed a few moments before Car and Shino appeared. Cheyenne Mountain Stargate Command Gate Room ===. General Hammond asked, "What the hell happened? We received your iris code, but you didn't come through." "I don't know, sir. Daniel dialed us home, and we ended up somewhere else with them." Jack replied in motion to the two unconscious kids. He knelt down and checked the boy for a pulse. "We should get him to Dr. Fraser. The kid was stung by a big bee, sir." General Hammond looked and saw the growing blood stain on the blonde boy's stomach. "A bee did that. It was a really big bee, sir. Like a bus with wings," Jack explained, stretching out his arms in emphasis. "Indeed, it was most impressive," Teal'c added emotionlessly. General Hammond waved his hand. "Go. Debriefing in 1 hour. == 10 minutes later. SG-1 ready room == Sam explained, "As best I can figure, sir. The energy from the staff blasts must have caused some kind of quantum fluctuation in the." Jack interrupted her. "Carter headache. Basically, sir, the Stargate overloaded somehow and instead of taking us back here, it jumped us to the other planet. Our call home was redirected," Sam added with a smirk. == 5 minutes earlier. SGC Medical Unit Number 1 == Drive. Phrasia paused in her note-taking and glanced at her 2 new charges for about the 5th time. She watched as one of the orderlies cleaned up the bloody waste and soiled equipment. Her senior nurse readying an IV for the boy. "Doctor." Fraser shook her head in disbelief. "Helen, tell me you saw what I saw. That boy's wound closed up without any trace of scarring in less than the span of an hour. Ma'am, for as long as I've been here at Stargate Command, I've learned to not be surprised at anything in this place." She leaned down and gently brushed the boy's cheek. "What do you make of these scars?" Janet rose from her chair and walked over to the bed. "I don't think they're scars. Call me crazy, but I think the marks on his face are natural occurrences, Given the fact that we watched all the trauma on this boy's body heal and fade away at a rate I've never witnessed, even with Tilk as a bank. Mark, the nurse asked, do you still want me to start the IV, doctor? Janet looked down at the boy, his peaceful face accenting his natural good looks. It's at odds with the condition he and the girl in the next bed were in when the medics brought him to her. Janet's gaze switched to her other patient. She was an even greater mystery. She still didn't know what to make of the girl's eyes, and the fact that she had to call in a maintenance tech to cut the fine, hardened wire that girl had been bound up with. She shuddered at how close that wire had come to opening the surface veins and arteries on the girl's wrists. Janet shook her head in disbelief and promised herself that she would give call. O'Neill a proper tongue lashing for not freeing the girl before transporting her. Better safe than sorry, Helen. Go ahead and hook him up. Give him a saline and glucose drip. Monitor and note his vitals every 30 minutes for the next 4 hours. Yes, doctor. In another place. Harta found herself floating in a sea of warm soft light. Despite her comforting surroundings, she was curled tightly in on herself. Over and over again, the events of her mission with Naruto and her teammates replayed in her mind. Her fight with the enemy nins, her capture, and the leering stares of the two brothers as they closed on her. Every replay of those events gripped her tighter than the last. The sense of shame that flooded her body burned like fire. The leering faces of the Iwan nins faded, only to be replaced by the face of her father. You're weak. His stony gaze pierced her soul, his words lashed her worse than the cruelest whip. You're such a disappointment to me. Hinata reflexively curled into an even tighter ball, hot tears leaking from her eyes, her body achd as a bitter sadness washed over her. I'm sorry, father, she murmured. I don't want T to be W weak equals 3 minutes earlier SGC medical unit number 1 equals the metallic clatter of a tray hitting the floor halted drive. Fraser's train of thought, the panicky voice of her head nurse derailed it. Drive. Fraser, something's happening. Drive. Janet Fraser shot out of her chair and turned to see the nurse backpedaling at speed away from the boy's bed. She gasped at the sight before her. The boy's body was fully encased in a warm orange glow. What truly unsettled her was the sight of the glow moving, shifting, and bubbling like something alive. Her hand began to inch towards the room's panic button, then halted when something new happened. Frozen with fascination, she watched as a slender orange tendril extended from the boy and slowly snaked towards the girl in the next bed over. Her breath hitched in her throat as the tendril made contact with the girl's face and tenderly stroked it. Meanwhile, back in Hinata's not so happy place Hinata. Hinata, why do you weep? Hinata froze up. Her sobbing came to a halt. Who's there? She looked about slowly for the source of the voice. It was warm and gentle, so much like her mother's, but different. Hinata straightened her body and sat up. Try as she might, she saw nothing save the soft whiteness surrounding her. Who are you? Where are you? You didn't answer my question, child. Why do you weep? The gentle feminine voice came from everywhere and nowhere. I'm AF failure. AAD disappointment to my C-clan and Na. Her final words fell to a whisper. Fresh tears fell from her eyes as her thoughts turned towards one of the few things in her life that brought her unbridled joy. I see. His opinion of you matters much than it would seem. Why? Yes. He's always, circa cared. F. For me. He believes in me. Once again, her final words were whispered. Yes, he does. The important question though is, do you believe in Na? Do you believe in yourself? Hinata blinked. What do you mean? Do you trust Na? Yes, she whispered softly. Really? You don't sound very sure about that. The voice had an amused tone to it. Hinata replied with a shout. I do. With all my heart. That's better. So then you love him? Yes. Hinata's response was a blush and silence. The voice tittered. Don't be afraid, child. Be honest. Be bold and believe in him. This will be your best chance to show him the Hinata you've hidden away from the world and from him. Stop lying to yourself. Stop hiding the Hinata that is truly you. Hinata shot to her feet and yelled hotly. I've never lied to Na. I didn't say that, child. I said that you've been lying to yourself. I don't understand. Hinata blinked in confusion. And that is why you think you're weak and regard your own worth so lightly. I don't understand. This time her words came out softly. You will, child. You will. Hinata didn't know why, but she felt the voice begin to depart. No. Don't leave me. The voice whispered in response. It's time, child. Don't be afraid and believe. Unbidden. Tears began to fall again. No. D == 30 seconds earlier. SGC Medical Unit Number 1. == Dr. Fraser watched as the glow surrounding the boy fade, as did the tendril embracing the girl. Confusion grew within her as she watched tears trickle down the girl's cheeks. Without warning, the girl shot upright, awake, and flung her arms out. She yelled out, "Don't leave me." The boy in the other bed, to her total surprise, woke up, blinked, and swiveled his head about, taking in the room's details. His eyes locked on the tearful girl in the next bed. With an ominous slowness, he turned his attention to her and the stunned staff. He sprang to his feet with startling ease, landing in the center of the bed. The boy's distinctive blue eyes narrowed, full of menace. He growled out, "You made Hinata-chan cry." Janet tried to speak, but her tongue refused to work. She opted to mash the panic button on the wall instead. All hell broke loose in very short order. == Meanwhile, back in SG-1's ready room == Thank you. That's all you had to say, Jack replied. Then the Bassie's general alert alarm went off. A voice yelled over the PA system. Security to Med Unit 1. Special Weapons Squad standby. Jack glanced about the room. Oh, __, what did that girl call him? Narutoan. I think Sam replied. I think it's just Naruto. He referred to her as Chan and she called him, __, those are Japanese terms of endearment like friend or sir. Daniel explained. Teal'c added. I believe we should get to the infirmary before anyone is hurt. They rushed to the infirmary. Upon entering, they saw that it was utterly trashed. On the far side of the room, the girl with the indigo hair was standing behind the blonde boy. She was dressed as they found her. He had on a hospital gown instead of his shirt and jacket. The boy had one hand over his stomach where the wound was. The other held a weapon, a knife of some kind. In front of them were 20 copies of the blonde. All of them in an identical defensive stance to the one shielding the girl who was obviously terrified. Sam commented, "Look at her eyes. They're white. Weird." Jack looked at Janet. What happened? Dr. Fraser backed up slowly towards Jack. I had finished examining him. His injury wasn't as bad as you said. After we finished treating his wounds, the boy's body started to glow with some sort of energy field. He touched the girl with some of that orange energy. Sam interrupted. How long was he glowing? A couple of minutes. Drive. Fraser replied. She shook her head as though to clear it. Then the girl woke up in tears and started screaming. Then he woke up and accused us of making her cry. Jack interrupted. Did you? Dr. Fraser gave him a glare that caused him step back and give the nos gesture. She snorted and continued. Then he grabbed her off her bed while yelling something and there was suddenly more of him. Then they trashed the place to hell and gone. He didn't hurt any of us though. It was probably that shadow clone thing. That's what he called it back on that planet. They're like solid holograms, but I have no idea how he does it, Daniel explained. Sam added, I don't know either, but whatever it is, it's incredibly advanced. Daniel took a half step forward. Whoever they are, we have to help them. Let me try talking to them. He continued walking towards them, stopping in front of the SPS. In a low voice, he asked the guards, please lower your weapons. Where are we and who are you? The blonde went into a more aggressive guard position as he spoke. Daniel replied, this is Earth. You were hurt and we brought you here to help you. I'm Daniel Jackson. What's your name? Naruto Uzumaki. We're in Earth country. You don't look like Rock Nin, and nobody here has a hit. It's so try again. Na answered back, the anger in his voice growing. Daniel straightened up, then noted the two headbands laying on a table by the bed. Both had what looked like a leaf symbol on them. Thinking on the fly, he replied in Japanese, please forgive Miyuki-san, we meant you no harm. We wish to help you return home. That is all. Please forgive us, Daniel explained and bowed low. Everyone bow. It, Daniel added, holding his bow. Everyone bowed like Daniel, Jack mumbling something. Every Naruto copy stood up in unison, obviously confused and scratched their heads with the hand hoe. LDing the Kani. The original Na spoke. Do you know what he said? Hinata. Hinata nodded. He's speaking th the old language Na. So what did he say? Naruto asked to forgive him. They just want to help us and he called you San. Hinata answered back, then blushed and smiled. Daniel looked up from his bow. This isn't Earth country. Wherever that is, this is the planet Earth. That big ring you saw earlier is a gate to other planets. We use it to explore them. Na stiffened, clearly shocked by Daniel's explanation. Another planet? You mean like one of the stars in the sky? Daniel thought a moment. Hi. Na and Hinata both fainted. Naruto's clones vanished as he hit the floor. Jack shrugged. Well, that works, I guess. Now then, will someone please explain to me what's going on here? General Hammond asked, stepping into the medical unit flanked by a pair of heavily armed security guards. == 4:57 p.m. Conference room == So, you don't know the address of my world and was stuck here until you can find it? Na asked, looking calmer than he felt. He was dressed in a baggy blue sweatsuit. The clothes he had been wearing were being repaired and cleaned. I'm afraid so, son. General Hammond replied, feeling bad for the two kids. Ba-chan will kill me when she sees me again. Na muttered and put his head on his arms crossed on the table. Ba-chan, Jack asked. Daniel explained. Basically it means grandmother or granny. The dialect is a little odd. I haven't been able to discern the time and region it comes from. General Hammond asked, won't she be happy to see you alive? Na raised his head and laughed half-heartedly. You don't understand. I just call her that because it annoys her. She's not related to me. She's the Hokage, the Fire Shadow. Daniel commented, confused by the odd atypical terms. Hi, Daniel-san from Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, the hidden shinobi village of Fire Country. Hinata replied neither she nor Na hadn't told them anything that wasn't common knowledge, at least to them. Daniel asked, so the Hokage is the ruler of Fire Country? Na nodded in response. Hinata spoke up. Actually, the Hokage is the military leader of Fire Country. Naruto scratched his head in embarrassment at his incorrect answer. Daniel continued, you had mentioned elements earlier. So are there other countries based on the elements, water, earth, and wind and lightning country? Na added, Fire Country is the strongest of the 5 elemental nations and has the strongest ninja. He announced proudly. Daniel asked, so if each nation has a ninja village led by a Kage, is there a daimyo for each nation too? Hi. Hinata responded, her stuttering mostly under control because she was near Naruto. And none of these people were ninjas, so they could easily escape if they needed to, all that, and the conversation she had remembered with the voice. Civilians were no match for shinobi, even if they were still genin. Mainly because the Chunin exams had been halted because of Orochimaru's invasion. She still felt that Naruto should have been made Chunin for what he had done during the attack on Konoha. And despite how strange this place was and the people, she was growing to like them and could tell that they were. Without malice or anger, she wasn't the best at reading people, but even she could sense that much from them. So you kids are ninjas, huh? Jack asked. The best, Na exclaimed proudly and a little louder than he should have. Well, in our class anyway. He blinked in surprise. Don't you have ninja here? Sure, but they can't do what you do. Wait, class. So, you went to school to learn how to be ninjas? Jack asked. Na replied with a grin. You got it. That's so cool. Jack replied. Dr. Fraser asked. Excuse me, Hinata. I don't want to be rude. But why are your eyes white? Is that normal for you? Hinata is a Hyuga. They're all like that. Na explained. I'm from one of the clans that helped found Konoha. Hinata added meekly. Just loud enough to be heard. Yeah. That's her bloodline limit. It's really cool. Na explained, then felt Hinata nudge him sharply in the ribs. He gritted his teeth. Na flinched at the frown Hinata gave him. I don't think I was supposed to tell you that. Can we talk alone for a minute? Please stay calm. Just because you'll be alone with Naruto doesn't mean anything. Stay calm. Remember, you're a Kunoichi and a Hyuga in a strange place. That's what he wants to talk about. Hinata thought. Daniel offered. I'll take him, sir. After the 3 of them left and the door shut, Hammond glanced at everyone. They seem like nice enough kids. Opinions? Anyone? Dr. Frazier recalled the incident in the infirmary. Perhaps, But I urge caution. The boy isn't what he seems to be. However, the girl seems to have a fair amount of influence over him, which is good. My advice, don't lie, unpleasantly surprise them. Jack grinned. I think it would be kind of cool to have ninjas hanging around. Sam snorted and rolled her eyes. You watch way too many of those cheesy movies. 2 minutes later. Naruto asked, what do you think, Kanada? They seem like nice people. Should we trust them? Well, need help to get home. And they seem like good people. Kind of weird, but nice. Well, that tilt guy is kind of scary. Hinata nodded. He is, but I think you're right about them. They're strange, but they don't want to hurt us. And so far they haven't lied to us. I can tell. Naruto replied, you can. Wow, you really are good. Me, I don't get any creepy feelings from them like I did those sound guys at the Chunin exams. I kind of like the idea. We could learn a bunch of new stuff. Maybe even come up with our own jutsu. But I don't have anyone to go back to. Well, old man Ikyaku and Ayami-chan will miss me and Bar-chan too. But you have a real family that they won't miss me. They think I'm weak. I'd rather stay here. With you, Naruto-kun. Hinata answered nervously. Really, if you really don't think they'll miss you. I don't know why Neji might since I got that stick out of his butt. If we ever get back, I'm going to kick your dad's butt like I did Negi and make him see how strong you are. And that's a promise. Na exclaimed fiercely. Hinata was shocked for a moment that he would say that, then quickly wiped a tear of happiness from her right eye, smiling proudly that he would do that for her. Hinata recalled her conversation with the voice. She thought, he does believe in me. 7 minutes later. SGC Medical Unit number 2 . Oh. That I've always healed fast. Besides, that was nothing. I've been hurt worse while training, Na replied. Then his stomach growled very loudly. Doctor. Frazier gave Naruto a motherly smile. I'll want to do a full examination later, but right now I think you should get something to eat. I'll take him to the cafeteria. Jack offered. Do you guys have ramen here? Na asked hopefully. Hinata giggled quietly at his question. Jack smiled. That's those squiggly noodles in the bags, right? Daniel nodded. Right, but that's instant ramen, Jack. He added, sorry, nah, we don't have anything like that here. Na got really excited when they talked about what he knew was instant ramen, just like he bought at the store, but his face fell when he heard they didn't have any. No, Na yelled out sadly as he fell to his knees, his hands raised. Jack burst out laughing. So, I take it you like ramen? Daniel asked, smirking. Na replied, it's nature's perfect food. The best ramen in the whole world is at Ikyaku's ramen stand. Jack thought for a moment. Spaghetti might do. I think you'd like it. Na asked, his curiosity roused. What's spaghetti? Jack replied, it's Italian ramen. Come on, I'll get you some. Jack left with Na Tilk following them. Would you page please? I circa can't do this with Hinata asked nervously and paused looking around. I'll go join 'em for dinner. I'll see you later, Hinata. Daniel replied, then left. Dr. Frazier announced. Okay, all men out now. Sam, pull the curtain, please. Hinata waited a moment for them to do what she had asked, then smiled slightly. Thank you, Frazier-san, please just call me Drive. Frazier, she answered with a warm smile. Hi, thank you, Hinata replied and relaxed. There was something very motherly about the red-haired woman that she liked. She reminded her of Karai-sensei. Okay, Hinata, we're alone. If you'll remove your clothes, we'll run a few tests and get a blood sample. Doctor, Frazier said, blood sample. Hinata almost yelled. Doctor, Frazier asked, what's wrong, Hinata? It's a standard procedure to test for any diseases you may have. I can't let you do that you'll steal it. Hinata explained with unusual for her firmness. Steal what? Doctor, Frazier asked confused by Hinata's objection. The secrets of the Byakugan. Hinata replied nervously. Doctor, Frazier was confused a moment. That's what you call your eyes, right? The special ability of your clan. Hinata nodded. I'd be disgraced and executed if I let our clan's greatest treasure fall into enemy hands. Please don't try to take a blood sample. I don't want to have to hurt you. Sam saw the fear and worry in Hinata's face. Janet, can I talk to you a moment? I'll be right back. Hinata, please relax. I won't do anything you don't want me to. Doctor, Fraser explained, then followed Sam through the curtains. Cafeteria Jack watched, still stunned as Na was wolfing down his second heaping plate of spaghetti covered with mushroom and meat sauce. Na, do you always eat this much? Na looked up, slurped down the noodles hanging from his mouth and wiped his face with a napkin. Yeah, I usually have 5 or 6 bowls of ramen after a mission or hard training. This spaghetti is almost as good. He looked up from his plate. I don't have to pay for this, do I? Jack responded, no, I'm buying. He mentally added, thank God the boy doesn't know that SGC personnel eat here for free. He imagined a stack of plates 10 high. Na replied, good, it's just that I haven't eaten all day, and big fights make me extra hungry anyway. Plus, I've used up a lot of chakra and. Daniel interrupted, chakra, yeah, it's what I do jutsu with. I'm not much of a ninja without jutsu. Na explained, eagerly chasing the last meatball around his plate. Jack asked, is that how you made those copies and that blue ball thing? That's my shadow clone jutsu, and the other one is the Ringan that Jera sensei taught me. Naruto answered proudly. He got tired of trying to use the fork thingy properly as Jack had shown him and speared the errant meatball. Daniel asked, can you tell us about chakra? I guess so. I mean, it isn't a big secret or anything. Naruto replied and popped the remaining meatball into his mouth. SGC medical unit number 2 drive. Fraser and Sam passed through a small gap in the curtains where Hinata was still sitting. Janet closed the curtains and asked, Hinata, you have doctors on your world, right? Finally calm again, Hinata replied, hi, regular doctors and medical ninja. Sam saw Janet's eyes light up for just a moment at the mention of medical ninja. You can discuss that later, Janet. Sam added with a smirk. Janet nodded and asked, Hinata, I know you don't fully trust me, but do your doctors have an oath or rule about doctor-patient privacy? Hinata thought for a moment and nodded. Hi. Each clan has their own doctors, but sometimes we have to stay at the hospital to get special care. There are doctors from outside the clans that know how to treat us and keep what they know a secret. We have similar rules. I am in charge here, and even though I don't know how long you'll be here, I want you to trust me. I give you my word as a doctor that I will keep all your medical information in my personal files. No one will see them but me, Sam, and my most trusted nurses who may have to help me if you're injured badly or otherwise. If any blood samples are taken, no one will have access to them but me. If you feel I betrayed you, drive. Fraser said and let out a sigh. You can kill me. I'm guessing you could do it rather easily. Hinata nodded slowly. Hinata saw it on her face, her body language, and heard it in her voice. She really meant it. She glanced at Sam. The blonde woman looked nervous and obviously didn't like what the red-haired woman had said, but they were clearly friends and she was going along with her position. Hinata asked, will you do the same for Naruto? You like him, don't you? Doctor? Fraser asked and saw Hinata immediately shake her head. No, but the intense blush on her face said otherwise. I will, I promise, Hinata replied. Naruto never breaks a page. Promise. He'd rather die. Sam and Dr. Fraser glanced at each other at this insight concerning the blonde boy. We won't either, Hinata. This base we're in is one of the most secret places in the world. You have to be checked and cleared by a dozen people just to sweep the floors here. You have our word. We won't share your secrets with anyone. We just want to be friends and help you. Dr. Fraser answered sincerely. She knew in her heart what her father and the elders would say, but they weren't here. They weren't even on this planet. Hi, Hinata replied and sighed nervously as she unzipped her coat and opened it to take it off. She saw their reactions as she removed it. Dr. Fraser asked, Hinata, how old are you? Hinata answered nervously, I'm 13. On my world, when you become a ninja or kunoichi, you legally become an adult. Please don't tell Na. I'm different. He'll think I'm weird. General Hammond looked around the table at SG-1 and Dr. Fraser. Their 2 guests were in their rooms awaiting the end of this meeting. Okay, people, Give me some clarity to this mess I've got on my hands. I'll go first, sir. Dr. Fraser responded. She had 2 folders in front of her. Both of them are 13 years old, and despite a few remarkable abilities, both are in excellent health. Hammond stirred in his chair. What kind of abilities? I'll start with the girl. Hinata Hyuga. She's from one of the senior clans of her hidden village, as they call it. The clan consists of about 300 people composed of many family groups, all of them with the same ability. The clan itself is divided into a main branch and the cadet branch. Dr. Fraser explained. Daniel pondered that for a moment. Like a caste system. Drive. Fraser nodded in response. Yes. Hinata is the oldest of 2 children from the main branch. Her father is the head of the Hyuga clan, making her essentially royalty. This is what's so fascinating. Their special ability, also called a bloodline limit or Keggenka, is their eyes, giving them what is referred to by them as a Dojutsu. They call it the Byakugan, and from the tests I ran yesterday, it has 3 basic abilities that they've managed to combine together. Dr. Fraser paused as she flipped open a medical file. Their eyes are basically like ours, but she has an additional white lens layered atop the normal optical street. Akcha. She won't give me any specifics, but when she activates her special vision with what they call chakra, she has what's essentially X-ray vision, and she can see in all directions at once. Drive. Fraser added, noting her teammates' reaction to that bit of information. Dr. Fraser dropped the final reveal of her research. With that special ability activated, she sees what she refers to as chakra coils. That's where chakra originates from, as well as all the various chakra points that are within the human body. They're referred to on her world as Tenkaitu points, and apparently everyone has them, even as though ours aren't as well developed, Jack asked. That's pretty cool. So, could she be looking at us now? Dr. Fraser paused and closed her notebook. Perhaps, or at the very least, I wouldn't rule out the possibility, Sam added. It's incredible, sir, and you can tell when she uses it. How? Jen Hammond asked with a curious frown. Sam explained by pointing to her own temples. The blood vessels around her eyes noticeably enlarge. It's actually kind of creepy the first time you see it. Oh. And she's rather shy because of various family issues, but she wouldn't offer any further details, Dr. Fraser added. And the boy Na? Jen Hammond asked, leaning forward in his chair. Dr. Fraser replied, well, sir, Na is even more remarkable, but he wouldn't tell me anything beyond generalities. He explained that his rapid healing was natural for him, but he's obviously hiding something. And by the way, he dodges my questions. It must be very important. She paused for a moment as she opened a different medical file. He has a healing ability greater than anything I've ever seen. If what he told me was the truth, he usually recovers from injuries in a few days. Injuries, in my opinion, that would kill any girl instantly and without any scaring whatsoever. Physically, he's in better shape than any of us. And he says he's never been sick a day in his life. Janet paused to refocus on what she was about to say. He doesn't have any known family and has lived on his own in an apartment since he was 5. Dr. Fraser closed the file and added, other than that, he's a normal, energetic teenager. Jen Hammond frowned at the gaps in Dr. Fraser's presentation. What about the incident in the infirmary? Dr. Fraser simply shrugged. I questioned him about the nature of the energy that encased his body and that other matter. She paused with a sigh. Up until now, I'd never witnessed someone look dumbstruck and disbelieving in one breath and then play stupid with the next breath. Janet closed the medical before her. He totally stonewalled me on the matter. Jen Hammond shook his head. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. Daniel tapped her old look leather-bound book. Well, they're ninja and like their variant here on Earth, they live in the shadows. To do otherwise would lead to a very short existence. Keeping secrets would be second nature to them. Jack leaned back in his chair and looked at Daniel. I don't know if that totally applies here. Based on Dr. Fraser's observations, even Na didn't believe or perhaps understand what she had seen. Jack paused in thought for a moment, then snapped his fingers. Didn't you show him the? Jen Hammond raised his hand and interrupted Jack. The video of that incident has been sealed. And I might add, outside of this room, the matter is not to be discussed. Those are my orders, and they come from upstairs. Does everyone understand? The tone in Hammond's voice was absolute. After a muted chorus of, Yes, sir, he continued in a softer tone of voice. I'm not saying the matter is closed, but it does join the ranks of things here at SGC that is not to be discussed openly. I think we all know the drill here. I don't want to hinder debate or discussion on the matter, but this is to be considered one of our closer secrets. Now then, please continue. Jack nodded. Now then, as I was saying, I trust Drive. Frasier's powers of observation and might add, her capacity for insight. He shot her a smile that she returned. Whatever happened in the infirmary apparently caught Naruto by surprise as well. I don't think it would be a good idea to press him on this, especially since we're still in the establishing trust phase of things. Jack noted Daniel eyeing him oddly. He stared back. What is it? Did I suddenly grow bunny ears or something? You were just thoughtful. Consider it an insightful all in the same breath. Daniel looked at him with a poorly concealed smirk. Who are you, and what did you do with Colonel O'Neill? Jack smirked back. It's a secret. I have a representative to maintain after all. General Hammond cleared his throat. Focus people. Dr. Frasier, was there anything else you wanted to add? Just this. Whatever it was, it didn't appear to be inherently harmful. None of the biosenses or M detectors in the med unit went off and none of the alarms were triggered. We know that it wasn't anything on the upper, mid, or lower M radiation spectrum. And no one was harmed by whatever it was, nor suffered any adverse effects from it. Dr. Frasier took a deep breath. I saw it only one thing. It reached out to Hinata and it touched her in a totally non-threatening fashion. My educated guess. It's an integral part of Naruto. And I suppose it could have been a manifestation of chakra. But beyond that, I'd just be guessing. Dr. Frasier leaned back and crossed her arms, still amazed by what she had witnessed along with half her staff. Sam spoke up. I agree with Dr. Frasier, General, and I might add, I've had enough contact with the both of them to know that putting the fact that Hey ninjas aside, they're decent enough kids. After all, it's not like they're bloodthirsty psycho killers. At this point, I could put in the obligatory Gar sneezes moment, but he's gotten better. Honestly, he has. However, there was a mass sneeze at Akatsuki HQ. Daniel added, I agree with Sam's assessment of Naruto and Hinata. Heaven knows we've run into far more dubious people on the other side of our Stargate. Teal'c nodded in agreement as well. Jen Hammond leaned back in his chair. All that being said, I'll remind you again that the incident involving Na and our two newest guests in particular are now classified as top secret and any access is need to know only. Daniel raised an eyebrow. And how is that different from all the other things around here? General Hammond responded with a cold stare. Daniel hid behind the book he was holding. Okay, sir, I get it. Jack mulled over the give and take of his team members. He knew for all their talent, experience, and brains sitting around this table, they were dealing with something that only he had even the slightest grasp of, and only by virtue of one of his past career choices. A past that he was not free to talk about for the most part, save for vague colorful yarns. No, this was a matter outside the collective experiences. Perhaps a private talk with Jen Hammond was in order. Jen Hammond asked, so then, what about their abilities? Naruto can make copies of himself and create a ball of energy that can destroy things. What about Hinata? What can she do? Sam replied, General Hammond, I'm sure they'd both be glad to show us. From what Hinata has told me, Naruto likes to show off. And both of them have stated plainly that they'd tell us more about chakra, although I think Hinata will be more helpful since she's apparently had more training and was a better student. One of the top girls in her class, in fact. Jen Hammond looked at the clock on the wall. Okay, tell them to be ready at 0930 for a demonstration, a full briefing on chakra and a demonstration of these abilities of theirs. Sam added, Jutsu, sir. That's what they call the techniques they do. Thank you. Jen Hammond nodded and scribbled some more notes on his memo pad. Sam replied with a smile. You're welcome, sir, Jen Hammond announced. Dismissed. All of SG-1 exited the room, save one. Jack asked. Could I have a moment of your time, sir? Do we have time for this, Colonel? Jen Hammond replied, glancing at the wall clock. This will just take a few minutes, sir. Jack pulled out notebook and pen. He wrote down 2 names, tore the sheet out, and laid it down on the conference table. I'd like your permission to contact these people. I believe they could be helpful with our guests. Jack took a step back and assumed the position of attention. The gesture was not lost on Hammond. He picked up the slip of paper and looked at the names. I assume these people are connected to your earlier career path? Yes, sir. I know these people and they could be helpful to us. Jack replied and smiled. Jen Hammond looked over the names a second time. How so? Daniel is correct concerning his insight about Naruto and Hinata. They come from a world of shadows. Those two men come from our world of shadows. It is my professional opinion that they may be of assistance to us. Jen Hammond looked at the names again and gave O'Neill a thin smile. After I research these names, I'll give you an answer, Colonel. Jack smiled affably. That's all I ask for, sir. Jen Hammond nodded in accord. Fair enough. He pocketed the slip of paper and glanced at the door. You'd better get going, Jack. I'm guessing that the rest of your team are lurking nearby, wondering why you're having a private talk with me. Dismissed. Jack gave Hammond a sharp salute. Yes, sir. He exited the room and smiled as he noted his companions hanging out by a bank of vending machines. Try. Ing to look disinterested. == 9:30 a.m. Gymnasium B == all of SG1, Jen Hammond, and the two newest guests were gathered near the center of one of the Bassie's smaller exercise centers, a quartet of SPS stationed outside the entrance, ensuring their privacy. All along the walls were lockers, weight racks, various bins of exercise paraphernalia, and steel stacking chairs. Hinata, would you please go first? Sam asked with a reassuring smile. Okay, if you want me to, Hinata replied, still a little nervous. Walked to the center of what she figured were training mats, then turned to face everyone. What should I do first? Na took the opportunity to take a few stealthy side steps to the right, moving away from the small group. Sam asked with a friendly smile. You're a ninja, right? A kunoichi. Hinata nodded. Hi, that's the proper term. Sam smiled reassuringly. Okay, if you went to a school to learn how to be a kunoichi, they must have a set of basic skills that everyone is taught. How about showing us those? All right, there are 3 jutsus that everyone has to learn to graduate. The bunch, the kawari, and the hench, Hinata explained. Jack asked, what's a bian? Hinata giggled briefly, concealing her smile with a raised hand. Na laughed loudly. Daniel commented, I think the bunch is an illusion, right? Hi, Daniel-san. The bunch is an illusion. The kawari is a body substitution. It's used for switching places with an object about the same size as yourself. The better you become at using it, the smaller the object you can switch with. Hinata pointed to a couple different objects in the gym as examples. Hinata took a deep breath, set her feet, and continued. The hengi, which is a physical transformation, is for changing your appearance. It's typically used to impersonate someone or to disguise your own appearance. However, it can mimic anything you've seen or have a clear mental picture of. Hinata explained, then glanced around a moment. Hinata announced, I'll do the bunch first. Hinata executed the proper hand signs. Bunken. 3 exact copies of Hinata appeared out of the smoke. The duplicates moved to form a line to her right. Jack shook his head in amazement. Wow. Now that's cool. Sam walked up and making sure it wasn't the original Hinata, put her hand through one of the copy's shoulders. It vanished without a sound. Incredible. It looked just like you. But why did it disappear when I touched it? They're only meant to be used as a distraction. Any attack will dispel them. They'll fool civilians and most genin, but any jonin and most chunin can tell their illusions or simply feel the chakra being used to maintain them. It's an E-rank jutsu that everyone is taught. The jutsu isn't a secret. Hinata replied and then dispelled the copies of herself. Sam asked, so, is what you did an advanced version? Nah, hi. I kind of learned it by accident. I was tricked into taking the scroll the jutsu was written in. Naruto answered with a frown, still a little embarrassed about the incident, and rubbed the back of his head. He added proudly, but mine is the Cage Bunch, a shadow clone jutsu. It's a B-ranked jutsu. Sam replied, ranked, so there are different levels. Hinata answered, hi, E-ranked are the basic general use jutsu that everyone knows. Then comes the D-rank ones. They're the basic jutsu usually taught to new genin. They tend to vary by country. Then there's the C-rank jutsu that are harder to use. They require much more chakra to power them. Most genin know only one, sometimes two if they're from a clan like mine. They are the level of jutsu most shonen use. They're shinobi that are the next rank up from genin. Seeing them nod in understanding, Hinata continued, rank and jutsu are the higher level ones that most special jonin and jonin use. Only the strongest shinobi can use them. Then there are the A rank jutsus. They're dangerous and very high level jutsu that only jonin and kage use. The S rank ones are the forbidden jutsus that usually a kage knows, and perhaps a few select jonin. Sam nodded, absorbing and processing everything. Hinata said. Hinata added, our missions have the same ranking system based on how dangerous the mission is. They range from D to S. New gen and teams get D rank missions for a while, usually running errands for people, clearing fields, those sorts of things. Na just stared at Hinata, stunned but very impressed. Sounds just like the military. Jack responded with a thoughtful look on his face. Daniel replied, in a way, it is. Na exclaimed, I hate dank missions. They are so boring. Hinata giggled as Na waved his arms in annoyance. Jen Hammond commented with a tiny grin. We're getting off track, people. Sorry, sir. Please continue, Hinata. Sam replied, still smiling at Naruto's comment. Hinata asked, Ano, does anyone have something they could throw? Oh, yeah. Just a sec. Jack replied and ran over to a small basket hanging on the wall. He grabbed one of its contents and came back. This rate ball should work. I'll back up and someone throw it at me as hard as you can. Hinata asked and stepped backwards another 15 feet. Jack tossed the ball to Teal'c. Here you go, big guy. You do it. I have a bad shoulder. Fishing accident. Jack apologized with a sly smile. Teal'c replied in his usual tone. Indeed, a fishing accident. Na asked, a big smirk on his face at the obvious lie. Hey, it was a really big fish. Jack explained with a serious tone and a smile. Hinata was trying not to giggle. She knew he was lying, too. She announced, I'm ready. Teal'c nodded and threw the ball at Hinata far harder than anyone else there could. Na watched the big dark-skinned guy called Teal'c throw the blue ball at Hinata, knowing what she was going to do. Before it hit, he saw her hand move. There was a puff of smoke, and Hinata was instantly replaced with a nearby trash can. What he didn't expect is what happened next. There was a metallic bang as the ball bounced off the can at considerable speed. Then the ball flew off in a totally new direction, straight at the blonde woman called Sam and smashed into her right with a muted thump. Sam yelled in pain and clutched her with both hands, moaning quietly and bent forward a little. Hinata looked properly mortified. Na turned red a moment and then fell to the floor with hysterical laughter. General Hammond's eyebrows shot up as he glanced at Sam. Jack and Daniel were suddenly red-faced and staring at the ceiling. Teal'c, stone-faced, simply raised an eyebrow. Hinata ran straight over to Sam. She asked, I can help her. Can we be alone somewhere? Sam declared, It'll be fine. Really, you don't have to. Hinata replied softly, I insist. Please, this is my fault. Let me heal you. Okay, follow me, Sam replied, holding back the pain in her tears. She led Hinata into the women's locker room. Women's locker room . Sam sat on a bench in front of her. Please take off your shirt. I have a salve that will heal you, Hinata said. Sam hesitated for a long moment, but the healing salve Hinata mentioned had her interest, especially if it was as fast and effective as she was expecting. She pulled her shirt up and off, dropping it on the bench, revealing her gray sports bra. She glanced at Hinata for her reaction and then continued. Sam's side then pulled her sports bra up and off, fully exposing her full semaphore with 3 in light brown areolas and soft marbles sized. Looking down, she winced. A circular bruise from the ball's impact was already forming just below the hinata. Took the small circular tin from her pouch, popped off the lid, and scooped out a small amount with her fingers. This will feel a little cold, Hinata said gently. She saw Sam nod and only paused a moment before gently rubbing it onto the bruise, applying some chakra to speed up the healing effect. It doesn't need it, but I'm adding a small amount of chakra to help it work better. Sam jumped slightly when the cool saved her and then sighed softly as Hinata rubbed it into her entire. It felt wonderful. It smells like flowers, Sam commented aloud. Hinata smiled and waited a few minutes. Both of them watched as the bruise completely faded away. Sam touched her lightly and asked, Wow, that's incredible. Does everyone have that? She was completely amazed that not only was the pain gone, but so was the bruise. Knit myself from plants found around Konoha. Hinata replied, slightly embarrassed. She gave her a test squeeze. Any sensation of pain was completely gone. Janet would love to have some of that to analyze. Sam smiled and put her sports bra back on. Hinata asked, Janet, drive. Frasier, helping people is her life. Does this work on any small injury? Sam replied eagerly, hi, bruises, small cuts and abrasions, even minor burns. Hinata explained as Sam put on her t-shirt. May I ask you something personal? Ah, sure, Hinata. Anything. Sam replied calmly but hoping that it wasn't about her subtle reaction as Hinata was gently but innocently squeezing her to work in the salve. Hinata asked nervously, is that the first time you've been hit there? Sam's eyebrows rose slightly. Promise you won't tell anyone? Sam asked and Hinata nodded in response. No, it isn't. In high school and college I got in quite a few physical confrontations, shall we say, with a few other girls. I wasn't just the smartest girl around, but I also had these when I was your age. She cupped both her and gave them a slight jiggle. I was one of the first girls in my age group to get a chest. Hinata nodded. She understood the get a chest part all too well. I lost my first few private fights until I figured out why I was losing. Then after that, whether the other girl was smaller or bigger and stronger than I was, or had smaller or bigger, when I got them where I wanted them, they were finished. Sam said, then smirked briefly. She hadn't even thought of her Carter Crippler maneuver in years. Once word got out amongst the girls, they left me alone. I didn't date much, though. In fact, hardly at all. I was too busy with my schoolwork, and I hid my figure anyway. Why is there a girl causing you trouble? Sam asked with a knowing look. She could still see their faces. They never figured out how her simple grip hurt them there so badly. No, well, not directly. Naruto has a crush on her. And even though she likes someone else who betrayed the village, Na still likes her. And I'm too shy to tell Naruto I like him. Hinata explained, staring at the floor. Tell me about her, and maybe I can help you with both your problems. Sam offered and smiled knowingly. I'll make time for you later on and we'll have some girl talk. Okay. Hinata gave a small smile in reply and nodded. 10 minutes later. I apologize, Major Carter. I didn't intend. Teal'c spoke with a tone of regret. It's okay, Teal'c. I'm fine. Sam interrupted knowing he was being sincere. And I better not hear even a giggle. It hit my shoulder. Understood. Sam loudly announced, glaring at everyone. Teal'c replied calmly. Understood. Daniel nodded in agreement. Shoulder. Got it. Jack added with a vigorous nod. Na put on his best. I'm innocent face and clasped his hands behind his back, saying nothing. He learned the hard way from Sakura Ansane that you don't provoke an angry woman. He might not be books smart, but he was life smart. That's what I saw. General Hammond added as calm as always. He had been married, had a grown daughter and 2 granddaughters almost Hinata's age. He knew the rules. So what did she do? And are you still hurt? Sam explained. She used an herbal salve she made herself and the bruise healed in no time. It was incredible, Hammond interjected. Good. Now I believe there was one thing more to show us. Na asked excitedly. Can I show him this one, Hinata? Hinata nodded and walked over to him. Na whispered, it was really funny, but I won't tell anyone where she got hit. I promise. Thank you, Na. Hinata replied quietly, then moved to the sidelines, watching Na a moment, obviously thinking abo. What he was about to do when she saw a familiar smile on his face. No, not that Naruto, Hinata exclaimed softly, afraid to raise her voice. So, she did the only thing she could. She shut her eyes as she awaited those familiar words. It was common knowledge amongst their friends that it was considered a waste of chakra or totally perverted. Honestly though, she thought it was clever and actually pretty funny, though she would never let anyone know that. Sexy jutsu, Na announced proudly. And then there was a large puff of smoke. Hinata just had to peek and see everyone's reaction to Naruto's anti-pervert jutsu. Daniel was stunned. Sam was more shocked than anything else, but she was also blushing a little and just for a second shifted her hips. Left then right, her thighs rubbing together. Teal'c hardly reacted at all, and Jack almost reacted like she'd heard Jiraiya did when Na was trying to get the Sonnen to teach him during the month break before the finals. General Hammond just blushed. Naruto's appearance was exactly what she expected. 5'10", blonde hair in twin pigtails down to her knees, looking about 16, with what were at least E-cup, and with just enough smoke swirling about her to hide her, as well as her crotch, striking a pose. After several seconds, there was a second puff of smoke, and a fully clothed male Naruto was back, sporting his best foxy grin. Na explained, "That was my sexy jutsu. I created it to use on old perverts. Knocks him out every time." "That was Daniel?" Sam Jack asked, rubbing his eyes. Daniel vaguely shrugged, his brain still processing what he'd just seen. "That wasn't an illusion, was it?" Sam asked, doing her best to stay focused. "Nope. I really changed into a girl. Maybe I should have done the swimsuit version. Then you could have checked." Na replied, his face scrunching up a little as he began thinking. "No," they all yelled in unison when Na started to make the hand sign again. "That is okay, Na, we believe you. What about the others you did?" Sam asked. Na shrugged. "You mean my shadow clone jutsu and the Rasengan?" "Yes. What can you tell us about them?" Sam asked, glad that he hadn't repeated the jutsu. "Like we already told y'all earlier, the shadow clone jutsu makes copies of me by dividing my chakra. Most jonin can only make a few of them. Even Kakashi-sensei can only make about a dozen. I think I can make hundreds of them," Naruto said proudly. "Hundreds?" Jack commented with raised eyebrows. "Yep. The most I ever did so far is about 3, maybe 400, I think. I keep forgetting to count." Na replied with an annoyed frown. A flash of insight hit her. Sam asked, "If you split your chakra evenly amongst the clones, and if they learn something when they're destroyed, do you learn it, too?" "Ha." Na gave Sam a puzzled stare, scratching his head. Sam asked, "If I'm right, your chakra is your life energy, right?" "Well, yeah, if you'll run out completely, you die. Even I know that much." Na replied with a lopsided smile. Sam paused in thought and focused her next question. "So, if you made a shadow clone, sent it out to spy on an enemy camp, and it was discovered and killed, would you get the information out the camp?" Oh yeah. I remember now. Jan once told me that the jutsu was used mostly for scouting out enemy camps and bases." Na smiled to himself as he fondly recalled the elderly Sanding. Jack perked up when heard the tidbit of information. Sam paused again, processing Naruto's reply. "Since you divide your chakra amongst the clones, then I'm assuming you get it back when they get destroyed, right?" "I don't know. Shadow clone jutsu." Na activated the jutsu and a single clone appeared. It immediately approached Sam. She leaned down and whispered something into the clone's ear. She looked up at Na. "Did you hear what I just told the clone?" He shook his head. Na asked, "No. Want me to dispel it now?" "Yes, please," Sam replied, and a second later, it vanished in a puff of smoke. Na smiled as Sam's words came to him. "Yeah. I think clones are cool, too. Thanks." Naruto's eyes suddenly widened. He shouted, "It worked. Awesome." Na started to cheer and jump about, punching the air. He suddenly stopped, giving everyone a big smile. "Maybe this works with training, too. If it does, I could learn a new jutsu faster than anybody," he added silently. "Except for Sasake and Kakashi, but they cheat. If it does, it'd be exponential." Sam explained her usual way. Na froze in confusion. "Expower? What?" Jack laughed at the puzzled look on Naruto's face. "Get used to it, Na. She does it to me all the time." Na smiled and nodded, still a bit confused. Sam sighed as she rolled her eyes. "I know. Dumb it down," Sam added after a long moment of thought. "Exponential. If you added one clone to the task besides yourself, it would cut the time in half. Let's say you wanted to master a new jutsu, but it would normally take you a year to do it. With you and one clone, then it would take you 6 months instead. Adding 2 more clones plus yourself would drop the time needed to 3 months. Basically, the more clones you use, the less time it takes, but I don't think you should use hundreds to do it." Na asked, "Why not?" Sam explained, "Since you gain the knowledge of a clone when it's dispelled. Well, if you try to get too much information at once, it could cause brain damage." The memories of hundreds of clones hitting you at a single moment could possibly kill you. Sam turned and shared a look with Dr. Fraser. She nodded at Sam in agreement. Sam turned back to Na. We'll have to test you and find out what your limits are and how the memory transfer works. So, you'd be training me? Na asked, getting excited again. Sam paused as she scribbled down some notes. I guess you could look at it that way. Well, it'd be me and Dr. Fraser since she'd need to monitor you, but you could call it shadow clone training since I'd be teaching you how to use it more efficiently. Hinata spoke up. Anno. They all turned to face her. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it would be better if you learned about chakra first, then you could help us better. Daniel agreed with a nod. Shush is right. We can't teach Naruto to use jutsu effectively if we don't fully understand ourselves. Jen Hammond muttered under his breath. That was one of the subjects I'd hoped we would cover today. Could we learn how to do that cool stuff, too? Jack asked with a hopeful look on his face. Naruto just scratched his head, still confused over some of the words Sam had used. Hinata tapped a finger against her chin. I really don't know. We start training to mold chakra when we're quite young. I've never heard of anyone. Hinata pondered aloud. Our age. It's okay, Hinata. We don't mind. Sam offered the qualifier with a smile. Thank you, Sam. I don't know about the people of your world, but we decide what we'll be as children. We either become shinobi or civilians, but I'm guessing you do things here differently. Hinata added, still unsure about how things worked on Earth. Sam nodded agreeably. Yes, we start much later, and we have martial arts here, too. What you call taijutsu, I believe. And I might add, we can start learning it at any age, so we should be able to. She paused and thought, we'll have to do some tests, and you'll have to help us with your Bakugan. Sam added half asking at the end. Hinata nodded and added a polite bow. I'll try my best to help you all. Jack added, I'd love to see that Rusin thing again. Rasengan. I'd love to, but I better not do it here. It tends to make a mess. Na replied and smiled at the memory of what it did to those trees. Sam reassured Na. Don't worry, we'll think of something. Unknown location The Jaffa entered the huge half-lit room, walking across the polished stone floor quickly as quietly as possible. He stopped in front of the throne, dropped to his right knee, and bowed his head. I have news. The obviously female figure in the hooded black robe glanced down at her servant. Speak. He stood. There was a small power surge throughout the gate system earlier. I'm afraid we were unable to find the source or where it originated from. He explained, slightly nervous. It's probably those tower meddling about like the little mice they are. Let the other system lords deal with it. It is of little consequence to us. Leave me before I forgot you have some value. She answered dismissively. The Jaffa bowed deeply. Yes, my mistress, he replied, then turned and walked out slightly faster than he had entered. Standing outside the door Tossid's office in the hallway were two boys and an older girl. Oh. Come on. I'll do anything if you make the report for me. Car asked again, this time begging. Tempting, but no, we must report immediately. Shino replied calmly. The girl commented idly. I don't see what the problem is. Ninja die and are lost all the time. Besides, I'm the prisoner here. Her remark was rewarded with a joint growl by Car and Akamaru. She took the hint and shut up. Fine. Let's get this over with. Maybe we'll get lucky and shell break a couple of bones. Car grumbled, then opened the door and went in, followed by the girl, then Shino. Akamaru whimpered inside Car's coat and sunk out of sight. Shazan looked up from her desk as the door opened and saw them come in, but the growing smile on her face froze when the door closed behind them. She didn't say anything as they approached her desk, but she did get very nervous. Welcome back. Where's Naruto and Hinata? Shino replied with his trademark flat tone. We need to see Sama immediately. Shazan, swallowing the lump in her throat, nodded and led them into the office, immediately taking her place at Sununid's left side. Glancing at the group before her, Sununid saw Ka, Shino, and an unknown brunette, obviously an enemy kunoichi by the way she was bound. What she didn't see were the other two Jenny had sent with them. Sununid asked calmly, where are Naruto and Hinata? Ka swallowed nervously. We don't know, Sununid. Sama's right eyebrow twitched and she clenched her jaw for a brief moment. Excuse me, what do you mean you don't know? Were they captured? Are they alive? Sunyunit asked, holding her emotions in check for the moment. All we know is Ka began telling her what they knew and what they had learned from Suzanbaki. It went as he expected. Lost her temper, turned her desk into firewood, and Akamaru peed all over the inside of his coat. Suzanbaki, watching all of this unfold, became as still as a stone and prayed the ranting crazy woman who just smashed her desk with one finger wouldn't notice her. She said to herself, Almighty Kami, the Suchi Kag wants to pick a fight with her. Then she saw's eyes lock onto her. O, __, equals Stargate command. Gymnasium B equals. Daniel smiled. Gazan height. Ha, Naruto asked, then sniffled and rubbed his nose. Daniel replied, it's something we say when someone sneezes. A thoughtful look flashed across Naruto's face. Oh, thanks. It beats getting hit with a live chicken. Everyone looked at Na stunned until Hinata started giggling. I'm kidding. It was joke. I saw it on that TV last night. Na explained, waving his arms. Jack laughed hard. He could see bit by bit that Naruto was absorbing some of the odder elements of the new culture he found himself in. Sam smirked but inside was laughing her head off. Daniel chuckled and thought, I thought he'd appreciate that style of humor. Most amusing Na. Teal'c commented with a slight eye smile. Na pouted that his attempt at humor had gone astray. Via his new TV, he had discovered a show called The Three Stooges. Watching it, he had never laughed so hard in his life, especially after he realized that one of the Stooges had the same hairstyle as my guy and Rock Lee. Jack added, keep trying, Nah. You'll get him eventually. Can we continue now? Dr. Fraser asked, doing her best to keep Na reined in. He hadn't tested positive for ADD, but there were moments when she wondered otherwise. Sorry, Frazier-sensei. Hinata apologized with a small bow. Who was first again? Jack asked as he rubbed his chin. Teal'c explained with a wave of his hand. You, then me, Major Carter, and then Daniel Jackson. Lucky me. No offense, Hinata. Jack gave a mock sigh and walked over to the wall. Hinata gave Jack her understanding smile and nodded. She had finally gotten used to his odd brand of humor. In some ways, Jack reminded her more of Naruto during their academy days. Over the last 2 days, she had gradually adjusted to his style and the different feel of their new home away from home. The thing that struck her the most was the peculiar combination of watchfulness and warmth. The security here easily equaled some areas of Konoha, but it never felt oppressive. She had come to appreciate being treated not as the A's of a great and powerful clan, but as a valued co-worker and a friend, especially her new best friend in this strange place, Major Samantha Carter, or Sam, as Shush. Yi was called by her SG-1 teammates. Even so, with no one else from Konoha but Naruto around, she found comfort in her frequent talks with Sam. She was finally able to almost relax around Naruto-kun like a normal girl. Well, at least normal for a kunoichi. She loved it and found herself wishing for it to never end. And best of all, Naruto not only needed her around, he wanted her around. This is weird, but I'll do it. I usually get zapped first anyway, Jack commented, then moved to stand against the gym's wall, FA. Seeing everyone. Dr. Frazier repeated her earlier instructions. Okay, Hinata, remember, only focus on Colonel O'Neill. Hinata nodded in acknowledgement at the reminder and spoke the activation word. She executed the single hand sign with practiced ease. Bakugan equals 38 minutes later. Briefing room equals. So then what did she find out? Jen Hammond asked, leaning back in his chair. More than I ever could hope for, sir. I'd really like to have more time with Hinata. She has a real desire to help people and with her abilities. Dr. Fraser replied, then noted everyone's expression and knew she'd gotten caught up vocalizing her fondest wish again. Sorry, sir. According to her observations, while everyone here does have a chakra network that's similar to the circle, a Taurian nervous system, she noted that we're also like the people on her world. In her words, while everyone on her world has a chakra system, not everyone has the ability to mold it and become a shinobi. Dr. Fraser explained, then paused for a deep breath. The same is true for us. Of all of the people she has seen in the base, about 200, which is about a quarter of the base's population, have the potential to learn how to mold chakra like they do. However, There is a difference between us and the people of her world. And that did surprise her. On her world, if they don't begin training by age 10 or 12, they generally lose their ability to mold chakra. That's the initial step required for doing a jutsu, then focusing it with the appropriate hand signs. Dr. Fraser added, pausing to give everyone a growing smile. She did, however, mention one exception to this rule, a boy in the grade ahead of her that was unable to mold chakra at all.
I must have missed
The
something.
sole reason for that was a birth defect in his chakra coils. This defect rendered him incapable of using what they refer to as Enjutsu or Genjutsu. So his sensei, a close combat specialist, trained him in Taijutsu, their name for martial arts in general. With physical training alone, he actually became stronger and faster than anyone in their age group, including many of the older shinobi, without using any chakra drive. Fraser explained. Sam asked, how's that even possible? Dr. Fraser explained, clearly impressed with the details of the incident. He wears weights on his arms and legs, and while she doesn't know how much, it seems to be quite a lot. Hinata recalled him removing his leg weights during what she called the Chunin exams. It's a tournament between all the nations to decide who gets promoted and which countries get the most ninja business. Janet checked her notes again. As I was saying, he removed them during his match, and when he dropped them, they made what she described as 2-foot-wide craters in the ground and kicked up a lot of dirt. Afterward, he moved so fast that even she couldn't follow his movements in the arena. Sam went into thinking mode for a few moments. Assuming the ground was just packed dirt to make craters that size would mean he was wearing at least 500 pounds on each limb. Even Tilk couldn't move normally with that amount of weight on his legs. No offense, Teal'c. Teal'c replied, none taken, Major Carter. That's a most impressive feat for one so young. Yeah, so, what's the good news, Doc? Can we be ninjas? Jack asked with a grin. Dr. Fraser answered with a slight frown. No, we're too old. Jack pressed on. Is there some good news at least? Yes, better than I expected. In fact, according to Hinata, the entire team has the potential to mold chakra, and so do I. Dr. Fraser replied with a big smile. Jack leaned back in his chair, half frowning. I sense of it coming. Drive. Fraser replied. Potentially a rather large one. After her numerous chats with Hinata, Sam made an educated guess. She spoke up the initial process, tapping into our chakra and then molding it. Dr. Fraser nodded in agreement. From what Hinata has told me, people on her world are aware of their own chakra even at an early age. Their sense of it, whether it be within themselves or in the environment around them, is almost instinctual. We, on the other hand, lack that awareness. Dr. Fraser paused, her face scrunched in thought. It's like trying to imagine being wet when you've never been exposed to water. However, we do have an ace in the hole, Hinata. Because of her unique method of fighting, she has the capacity to project her chakra into us. That in turn will give us the opportunity to experience the sensation of chakra. That is the critical reference point we completely lack. Drive. Frazier added after a brief pause. From that starting point, it would be on each us to turn our senses inward and become aware of the chakra lying dormant. Ethan, each of us, will need special training, but with Hinata helping us, we'll have a distinct advantage. Sam snapped her fingers in realization. Hinata will be able to see if we're actually molding our own chakra, right? Dr. Fraser nodded. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Sam smiled. That's brilliant. How long do you think it'll take for us to learn? March 26th 11:05 a.m. Konoha Ikyaku Ramen Bar Shino glanced over at his teammate. I failed to see the nature of your complaint. He set down his bowl of special order ramen created to allow for the particular needs of an Aram. Carr frowned and set down his chopsticks. He had just finished his second cage-sized order of double beef ramen. That's only because Carr's rant died in its tracks. Akamaru skewered behind the counter and huddled against Ayami's legs. He barked his sole comment. You're on your own, boss. Shino immediately noticed the look on Carr's face, one of growing panic, and followed his eyes. Striding towards them, his face set in stone, was Neji Hyuga. Shino's left eyebrow twitched. How untimely. Nei halted a few paces away from his cousin's teammates, his eyes taking in the various details.
I don't
He
want to
thought
mess
to
with that
himself,
ladder and hurt poor
Shino,
Samuel.
sitting motionless,
I just want to
check,
get Victoria the hell out
He
of the way.
snorted derisively in a near panic. Check. Hinata, not present. Check. Naruto. Then it hit him. He knew about the special mission Hinata's team had been sent on, and that Naru had been attached to Team Kurama.
Okay, let's see if this
Here he was
works.
standing in front of Ikyaku's and Naruto wasn't present. That was an impossibility. His tone spoke volumes. Where are they? Ayami, who
Keep
had been
walking,
content to
hippie.
take in the whole scene, suddenly remembered Naruto's chatter from several days ago.
Victoria is
She
not
picked up a
hitting my hand.
12-inch chef's knife and tapped it on the counter. Yes, now I remember. She crossed her arms and laid the flat of the gleaming and very sharp
Sorry,
knife against
no
her shoulder.
paparazzi allowed.
Her low voice was soaked in menace. Where is Na? Ka looked at Shino as he quickly moved to the next stool over. I made the last report. It's your
Close, but
turn
no
now.
cigar.
Equals
They have
equals
to be
equals
right
Naruto's
under the
room.
bucket.
Equals equals equals. Na was sitting on the side of his
so
bed
much for
already
almost
bored.
ruining my
I
outfit.
am so bored. Na said, then zoned out as his eyes glazed over. Equals equals equals. 1 minute later. Briefing room equals equals equals. They turned to the door when a guard came in. The SP announced, sorry
Close,
to
but no
interrupt,
cigar.
but something
They
is
have to
wrong
be
with Na.
right under the bucket.
He seems to have suddenly gone into a trance. Doctor.
Thanks
Frazier
so
got
much
up
for
and
almost
ran from the
ruining my
room.
outfit.
Equals equals equals
You're so
Naruto's
lucky I didn't
mindscape.
fall on us.
Equals
We'd
equals
see your ass
equals.
so fast.
Sitting on the floor in shock where he'd just fallen, he looked up through the
Think,
huge
Max.
bars at the giant demon
Rewind
fox
and find
living there.
something.
He just stared for what felt like a minute before he managed to say anything. Na yelled, "You what?" The Kayabi repeated the rump of her apology. I said, "I'm sorry for everything you've been through because of me, and I want to help you and the girl. You're going to need it." As unbelievable as it sounded, even to him, Na almost believed the Kayabi meant it, and honestly wanted to help him and Hinata. Na replied harshly, "Why should I trust you, furball? You've done nothing but try to kill me and escape from the moment I found out about you from Mizuki." Naruto's eyebrows went up as he heard the Kayabi sigh. That's complicated, and honestly, you wouldn't understand even if I told you everything. That big ring they showed you and how you got here. It has to do with that. Basically, when we went
Do you
through it,
understand
it finally
English?
gave me the chance
Get
to rid
lost.
myself completely of the jutsu I was still being affected by. I don't expect you to believe me or trust me, but I'm not evil. None of the Beiju are simply different parts of nature. Like you humans, we have our problems, too. The Kayabi let out a snort that ruffled Naruto's hair. Then again, what would you expect if you had existed for thousands of years? The Kayabi's ears drooped. All I ask is you give me a chance. The Kayabi repeated her plea, leaving out facts like her gender, that she was forced to attack Konoha, and who his parents were, among the many other things that N.O.1 was ready for, especially Na. Na replied, "I'll think about it. Can you prove you want to help me?" The Kayabi's
That's the
ears
first and
pricked
the
up.
last time I
This was the
expect to hear
moment
that.
she was waiting for. The Kayabi answered back, "She loves you." What? Naruto's eyes widened, confused by the Kaoli reply. Kayabi explained, her tail swishing in agitation. "Hinata loves you. She has since she was a child. That's why she blushes and stutters around you. It breaks her heart that you waste your time chasing that pink-haired, __, that loves the Uchiha traitor and treats you like garbage regardless of what you do for her." Na went numb as the Kayabi's words sunk in. He ran his entire life through his mind. Looking at everything with a totally different view this time, he saw many things he had missed the first time. Na said to himself, "Am I really that dense?" The Kayabi let out a soft snort. "Yes, you are." Suddenly, the Kayabi's head tilted upwards, ears twitching. "We'll have to talk later. They're trying to wake you up. Please think about what I said." The Kayabi asked again. Naruto nodded, then vanished from his mindscape. A third voice spoke up from the darkness. "Thank you, Kayabi-chan." Kayabi smiled and nodded in reply, wondering why it had been so helpful and familiar. March 26, 11:20 a.m. Training Area 8 Connor along the way to their new location at Shino's suggestion for Basi and fleeing Ayami's wrath, they had picked up Tenten and Lee. She had just finished a delivery to Ambu headquarters. With Lee's assistance, he had taken the task of getting
Okay,
the two
let's see
heavy
if
crates
this
of ninja
works.
tools there as a test of his youthfulness as usual. Tenden had taken one look at the trio marching up the street and the looks on their respective faces. Ka and Shino with Neji behind them and knew something was up. Now leaning against a tree, she watched Neji standing over a sitting Ka. Akamaru was hiding inside his jacket again, and Shino Tenten glanced over at Lee quietly doing squats and watching everything at the same time, then focused her attention on the matter at hand. The disappearance of Hinata and Naruto. Nei frowned in disbelief. You're not making any sense. KBA snarled in frustration. No, none of it makes any sense. Damn it. He stood up and started pacing. Their scent ended there. Period. And it was
Close,
fresh.
but no
Less
cigar.
than a couple of
They
minutes
have to
by
be
my
right
nose.
under the bucket.
Akamaru added. Very fresh. Arfing in agreement. Car froze. That and the weird smells. They made even less sense. Tenten stirred at that bit of news. What do you mean by that? In what way? Hay stood silently,
I must have missed
frowning in
something.
thought, sorting
I
out
should
what he
rewind.
knew. The number of scents. The type of scents. He glanced at Tenten. Oil and metal like you. Strange scents. He sneezed at the memory of them. Strange people, strange clothes, strange food. And I smelled 3 women in that place. One of them was Hinata. The other was the Iwa Kunoiki we captured. The third one unknown. KBA started ticking off his fingers. There were 6 male tracks. One of them was Naruto. The other
Okay,
2 were
let's
the
see if
Iwan
this
nins we
works.
had faced before. The remaining
Keep
3 were
walking,
unknowns,
hippie.
and one of them smelled odd. Hay shook his head. All told, 9 tracks.
Victoria
5
is
of them were
not giving
familiar,
the hint.
4 were unknowns. Bottom line, we left that place with 1 captured Kunoiki.
Do you
The remaining
understand
8,
English?
quote, Car
Get
shook
lost.
his head. They were gone. Lee halted in mid-squat. Gone. Hay waved his arms in frustration. He snarled. Gone. No more. Disappeared. He sat down with a thump. He whispered. Gone. Just like Hinata and Naruto. Gone. For several minutes. The only sound was the wind rustling the leaves. Shino broke the silence first. The ring. Everyone stirred at that. The hairs on Car's neck stood up as he recalled the huge metal ring set into the cliff face. Neji got in Shino's face. Reflexively, his Bakugan had activated. Explain. Tell me everything. Stargate command. Infirmary . Seeing the needle coming toward him the moment he opened his eyes, Naruto leapt off the bed from flat
Close,
off
but
his
no
back.
cigar.
What's
They have to
wrong
be
with you
right
people?
under the
Can't a
bucket.
guy meditate around here without getting kidnapped and experimented
Thanks
on?
so much for almost
Looks
ruining
like you
my outfit.
can't. Jack answered from
You're
the doorway,
so lucky that
then
didn't
started
fall on us.
laughing.
We'd see
He'd
your
gotten
ass
there in
so
time to
fast.
see Naruto wake up. Hinata's room.
There's only one way around this.
Hinata was face down on her bed, Byakugan active, red-faced from laughter, and giggling almost hysterically
You're so
into her
lucky that
pillow.
didn't fall on us. We'd see your ass so
Infirmary
fast.
I'm sorry, Naruto. Tilt
Damn,
doesn't
I
go as
missed
deep
something.
when he meditates.
I better
And
rewind.
Dr. Pharazia replied, feeling stupid for overreacting. Nar interrupted. Wait, you meditate, Teal'c? Do they do this to you? Teal'c replied, no, I normally meditate at night. I don't sleep. A few hours of meditation is all I require. Because you're a Jin, a Jaffa? Naruto asked, catching himself before he said it and hoped it looked
None
like he
shall
had trouble
pass.
remembering.
Capiche?
Teal'c nodded. Yes. How do you meditate so deeply you are unaware of what is happening around you? Sam added. I was wondering about that too. I was in my mindscape working on some new jutsu. Can't you guys do that? Na
Okay,
replied,
let's see if this
bluffing about
works.
what had really happened. Now he would have to actually think up some jutsu. Not that he hadn't done that before. Dr. Fraser asked. Mindscape. Daniel explained. I've heard of this. There are some monks that can do it. It's like dreaming while awake. Their mind organizes their thoughts and memories into something familiar like your house or something, right? Hi. That's about right. But I see a sewer. Probably because I'm an orphan and didn't have a
hell?
very good
Are
childhood.
you kidding?
Na
Look at
replied,
this.
Chill,
his eyes
Victoria.
downcast.
Just water.
Sam asked,
Yeah,
can all ninja
water
do
on
this
my
where you're
cashmere.
from?
Do you
Sure.
know how much this
Though,
fucking
usually
outfit
only
costs?
stronger
You look
ninja do
great.
it like
I
Jonan.
can't even
But
chill
I'm
on the
special.
steps.
Actually, I learned to do it by accident. Can I go back to my room now? Na asked with a hopeful tone. Even though the infirmary wasn't like Konoha General, he still had an instinctive urge to flee any place that smelled like it. Sure. Sorry, Nah.
way.
Doctor.
No fucking
Fraser
way,
replied with an
Victoria.
apologetic
Saying you're
smile.
sorry.
Nar exited the
Wet
room
paint is
and
not
headed
good
back
for
to
hair,
his
no?
quarters.
Get the
Pondering the
hell away
Kaoli
from me,
words and
weirdo.
its request, he failed to notice Jack watching him leave.
Hold on. We'll get some
Teal
towels.
quietly
We'll be right
joined
back.
him,
So
also
move your
watching
ass before I
Naruto
drive.
walk away.
It
He is a
worked.
most extraordinary
Don't
child.
mess with Max,
O'Neill.
bitches.
It will be most interesting serving with him. Jack gave him a sideways look. You're right and wrong, my friend. Tilk raised an eyebrow. How so? Well, he is something else. Jack turned his attention back to Na. And no, I suspect his childhood ended a long time ago.
Hey, Victoria.
He
What do
sighed
you
softly.
want, Max?
Damn, I need a drink. Sam, who had silently joined them, poked Jack in the back. No slacking on duty, soldier,
Don't.
she said a mock gruff
Don't
voice.
say a word, Max.
Jack
wait,
gave her a
hold that
faint
pose.
smirk over his shoulder. Yes, dear. Equals
And no filter
12:30
needed before I
p.m.
post this.
Training ground 8. Conahy equals
Now, please move.
Made the
I've had a
length of
messed up
ninja
day
wire
and I'm
over
going
in
to
his
my
hands
room.
again.
You do that?
It had been cut
I know
very
where you
cleanly
live.
cut. He now
So does
possessed all
Nathan.
the information to be had from Shino and Car in
Maybe
his
I
head.
shouldn't have done that.
Now for the 10th time.
Now I have
He
to get
stared
to
at
my
the
room
scratched out
and
map
see
on the
more.
ground. Car had marked and traced every track that had been observed. Even Akamaru had gotten into it, nosing a marker here and there to correct their placement. As much as he had looked down on Car in the past, there was no disputing his information or Akamaru's, nor their noses. Even when he added Shino's insights into the mix, the mystery became no clearer. An ironic smile flashed over his face as he thought, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have cared less at this turn of events concerning Hinata, let alone Na. He put the ninja wire in his equipment pouch inside. As much as he would thank Na for changing his view of things, it had made his life vastly more complicated.
Victoria is going to
He
be
looked
pissed
over
we
at his
took so
fellow
long.
nins. Ka, Lee, and Tenten were having a fairly civil argument with Shino acting as referee. Akamaru was barking every time Ka made a point. He nodded to himself and began to turn away. His next destination would be the Hoage's
How
office.
sad. I
Shino
didn't
sat
write
up
anything.
straight and looked over
I
his
have
shoulder.
nothing to say.
Don't do it. Neji frowned at Shino. What are you talking about? Shino stood up and pointed towards the Hoage's
Home,
residence.
sweet home.
Don't
My
go
favorite
there.
cocoon.
Leave this matter to Hyashidono. The Hokage will decide how to break the news to him and when. Ha nodded vigorously in agreement. If you go now, you'll just make things worse. Shino silently added,
I look
I'm not
so
even sure
pathetic.
that we were supposed to tell anybody
I
about
am
this,
so
even
addicted
though
to
she
this
didn't
site.
say anything concerning
Look at
that
these vintage
subject.
people. Lauren makes me
Tenten
laugh.
let out a curt, bitter
It's
laugh.
nice to feel like I already
Worse,
made a real
Hinata
friend
and
here.
Naruto missing, vanished by Car's reckoning. She pointed at the map scratched into the dirt. What could possibly be worse? That Lee pointed off to his right. That could be worse. Everyone followed his finger and saw Sakura trotting towards them. She was not smiling. Car muttered as he shook his head. It's not my turn. It's not my turn.
Max and Chloe,
Naruto's
best
room.
friends forever.
Stargate command
Who even says that anymore?
equals. Na
I'm
was
going to
lying
have
on
to
his
call
bed
Chloe
thinking
eventually
about
and
what the
find out what
Kaebi
she'll
had
say.
told him about
The longer I
Hinata.
wait, the worse
He
it'll
found it
be.
hard to believe that someone
Idiot.
like her could like him that way. She was the Hyuga princess and he was the dead last of the academy, the village prankster and the Gensha. Ikki of the most powerful and most hated demon in the world. What made him worthy of even asking her out? He sighed sadly. I need to get out of here and do something before I go crazy. I'd even be glad to see Guy Sensei right now. Na grumbled then sat up. Well, maybe not him. I'm not that desperate yet. Even Pervy Sage would be, Na added, then froze as an idea formed in his mind. I can't get back to Konoha, but Jiraiya Sensei can do this, too. So, it should work. Na grinned. He hopped off the bed, bit his right thumb, did the hand signs, and slapped the ground. Summon. Poof. Hey, Na. Gamakichi paused as he glanced about. This was not Naruto's apartment. Where the hell are we? Hey Gamakichi. It's a long story, but I'm so glad to see you. Basically, I'm on another world. I was brought here with Hinata through some big ring called a Stargate. I need you to get this message back to Jiraiya Sensei and have him tell you we're okay. He reached over to the nearby desk, grabbed a pad of paper and a pen, and started furiously scribbling. Naruto added, oh yeah, the Stargate on our world is at the place where the Beatles are. Tell him it's where Hinata was held. Car and Akamaru should be able to find it. It's by a stream that goes into a small cave. Gamakichi looked at Naruto as if he was insane, but his surroundings and the fact it was Na told him as unlikely as it sounded, it had to be true. Gamakichi asked, okay, Na, you stay here. I know I'll be back with a message for you. Oh, and can you get me some food? Sure. That's easy, Na replied with a grin. He watched Gamaba's eldest son vanish in a puff of smoke. Now, what did that guard look like? Oh, yeah. Na grinned and then made his favorite hand sign. Konoha's office part 1 Sunade looked up from her newly replaced desk. While
I'll
she
miss
was
going to the
outwardly
games
calm
with
on
my
the
dad.
inside, she was anxious and angry, chiefly due to the sense of helplessness that she couldn't set aside. The only thing that had gone right was the major miracle of Kakashi showing up on time. Like Jiraiya, he was standing with the rest of the investigation team. It wasn't that she doubted Ka and Shino's abilities, but these were the best that Konoha had to offer. Thought sadly, all my strength, everything I can do, and I couldn't save him. Something had happened in that Aoust Valley, and she was damn well going to find out what it was before she quit. She glanced at the map again and reminded herself to send a note to Ibiki to lean on that Yakunoiki for every bit of information she possessed. Thinking it was better to be safe than sorry, she decided to add a Noiki to that task. She let out a deep breath and turned to her friend. You're in charge, Jiraiya. I want to know what. Gamakichi appeared on her desk in front of Jiraiya in a puff of smoke. Na sent me to tell. Gamakichi interrupted her mission instructions. Sunyunid yanked the small toad summon off the desk. She growled fiercely. What do you mean Na sent you?
Great.
Did you
Now I
see
have to
him?
go get the
Where
flash
is he?
drive from
Jiraiya
Dana's
waved
room.
his hand. Calm down, Sunyunid, and put him down gently. Now, my friend, tell us what you know, he asked now in full sunning mode. Everyone noticed the shift in Jiraiya's mood. He had gone from concerned to serious in an eye blink. A rare moment even for Tsunade. She knew that when she saw that face, she'd best take him seriously. 12 minutes later. Stargate Command Naruto's room. Gamakichi appeared next to Na on his bed in a puff of smoke. I have a scroll for you from Sunyunid. She's not very happy that you're gone, but she's glad you and Hinata are okay. She wants you to read it and tell Hinata, what's that smell? They're called burritos. I got you one. They're kind of like egg rolls, but filled with meat, beans, and cheese, and a lot bigger. Na explained, then laid the plate in front of him. Gamakichi stared at it a moment, then sat up, grabbed it, and popped the whole burrito in his mouth. After a few moments, he swallowed and smiled. This is great. You have to get me some more food like this. Thanks. Tell Bar-chan not to worry. Oh. If they're around the Stargate and it starts to light up, tell him to not be in front of it. Na waved his arms dramatically. When it opens, there's this whoosh kind of thing, like a geyser, and it goes out like over 20 feet, and anything it touches is just gone. What they call disintegrated. Nothing is left. Na finished his explanation with a snap of his fingers. Gamakichi stared wide-eyed at Na, then nodded slowly and vanished in a small puff of smoke. Monitor room Stargate Command Security HQ . The man announced. It happened again. You think that big talking. The second man interrupted. It's a toad, not a frog.
Look at that shot.
The first man asked, whatever you think it was, that clone thing, or did he really whistle up a talking toad?
Dolly,
The second man replied, I don't know, but I'm not going to say anything just in case. Besides, do you think he'd like it that we're spying on him and the girl? He's a ninja from another planet. Do you really think we're holding them here? I'll bet 2 months' pay they could leave anytime they wanted to, and we couldn't do, to stop him. You want to piss him off? Be my guest. Good point. The first man agreed with his sergeant's take on the whole matter now that the quiet buzz was spreading through SGC despite orders to the contra. Right. The second man reminded his assistant. Besides, there's a rumor that the girl can paralyze you with a touch, and her fighting style does internal damage, destroying your internal organs. Imagine her reaction if she thought you were spying on her while she's doing stuff like changing her clothes. Or showering. The first man padded at the thought and clamped his legs together. The second man added with a smirk. So keep any thoughts you have about her to yourself. Captain Hentai. This isn't one of those fanfics you're always reading about some barely teenage girl with huge equals. Konoha's office part 2 equals. Even though she wasn't looking at him, Sunyunid could tell that everyone was getting more restless by the minute. It had been over 15 minutes since Gamakichi had been dismissed after giving Jera as full a report as possible. It was Gamakichi after all. That wasn't saying much, though. Even knowing Naruto and Hinata were safe didn't help with the news that they were on another planet. She was still trying wrap her brain around that concept alone. Just that single fact alone had caused an uproar for more than a few minutes amongst the normally calm and stoic shinobi assembled in her office. It was only by force of will that she didn't pull out the biggest bottle in her secret stash and empty it down her throat then and there. Cam's pink panties,
She's your friend.
she thought to herself.
Friends don't
Only
sex
Nar
with their
could do
best
this to
friend's
me.
boyfriend.
He's going to be
No,
doing
probably
D-ranks
not.
for a year after I hug the
How did you
stuffing out
find
of that
out?
knucklehead.
Why do
She
you
finally
care?
looked up and issued
Why
her
are you
orders.
even asking
The Anbu
me?
team will
You never
proceed to
talk,
the
just
objective.
zone out with your
Jeria and
camera.
I will be present
That's
as
why I'm
well.
talking to you now.
Everyone else will
What's
remain
my
in
last
Konoha
name?
and say nothing about this mission or the status of Naruto and Hinata to anyone. Kakashi stirred at that. With all due respect,
Juliet
Hokage-sama,
Mason.
I need to
That
inform
was truly
Sakura.
sad.
Silenced
Thanks for
him
your
with a scowl.
concern, Max
No,
Caulfield.
she waved her hand
By
when
the
she
way,
noticed he was
Juliet
going to press
Watson.
the issue. I understand your needs, but this is an extraordinary situation. It's going to be hard enough keeping Karina and Hyashidono in the dark, but it has to be done. Until I have a better sense of what we've got on our hands, this will stay an S-rank matter. She snorted in dismay. Hell, I'd make it even higher if I could. Kakashi made no
Note
effort
to
to
Max.
hide his
It
disapproving
pays to
frown.
remember names.
What little of it could be seen. She switched her
Dane is
gaze to
still
the
a cheerleader
Anbu
at
commander.
heart.
No. Take your people and get there as quietly and as quickly as possible. You will not be observed. Detain anyone unlucky or skilled enough to spot you en route or at the target. Terminate anyone. Your best judgment on that matter if you are unable to stop them from successfully fleeing the secure zone, whether they be nin or civilian. Understood. Yugo was glad the mask hid her reaction to the
Juliet.
dire orders had just given.
Oh yes, Max.
Hi.
I've locked Dana in the room
Hokage-sama
because we're
flicked
cool.
her hand. Kakashi, stay. Anbu, move out. Everyone else is dismissed.
Juliet Watson,
310p.
you be nice.
Beetle Valley
flattered.
Naruto's
I
world
didn't even think you knew my name at all.
So this is that Stargate
of
thing.
course I do.
Ha. Impressive.
Thanks.
Said she now
I
had the
locked Dana
luxury
in
of being
because she was
casual
sexting
since
Zach,
the
my
Anbu had
boyfriend.
reported that there was no one
Unbelievable.
within 10 miles of the valley and the current location, the secure zone. Sunady glanced
you
at it
know?
again.
Victoria
Never in her
Chase.
life had she
You know
seen
her.
something so simple
You could
looking,
say that.
yet was the source of
But
so
why
much
would
chaos
Dana
to
go
her,
after your
and
boyfriend?
potentially to Konoha.
According to Victoria,
She turned
Dana
to
would do
Kakashi.
anything
I
to date a
wanted you to
quarterback.
see this and I hope
According to
appreciate why
Victoria.
I'm taking such a hard
Huh.
line concerning it.
She saw the sex.
Kakashi tore
And
his
Zachary
gaze
won't
away
answer
from the
his
metal
phone.
ring and covered
Once
his
Dana
sharing
admits
eye.
it, she can go.
He had examined it
Straight to
thoroughly,
hell.
even touched it. It embodied the word alien. I will confess, Hokage-sama, it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
I'm not
He
letting her
glanced
out
at
until
it
she tells
again.
the truth.
Only Naruto could possibly get tangled up with
Leave me
something.
alone, Max.
He
Get a
searched for the
clue.
right word.
I'm not
So
letting her out
outlandish and
until she
alien a
tells the
thing
truth.
is this. Both Sununid and Jeria couldn't help but chuckle at that. Hi. I understand, but I'm still uneasy about it all. Snorted in amusement. Welcome to the
Hey,
club,
Juliet.
Kakashi,
everything cool?
Part of
Oh,
me
yes,
isn't
Max.
all that
I've
pleased
locked
either.
Dana in the
But the
room
peril.
because we're cool.
She hooked her thumb at it. Of that thing, and all that could
Juliet
come of it
Watson,
worries me
you be
beyond
nice.
words.
I'm flattered.
She pointed to
I
the
didn't
ring.
even think you knew
My
my name
only
at
hope
all.
of keeping that thing a secret
of
is
course
through
I do.
deception.
Thanks.
As much as I hate
locked
the
Dana
idea
in
of
because she
letting
was
everyone
sexting Zach,
suffer,
my boyfriend.
not knowing the fate of Naruto and
Unbelievable.
Hinata, that suffering will be the shield that maintains
Would
that
Dana
secrecy
do
well
that?
need badly.
According to Victoria,
Sununid
Dana
hung
would do
her head in
anything
thought
to date
for a moment,
quarterback.
then met
According
Kakashi's
to
gaze.
Victoria.
I promise that I'll do my best to
She
use
saw
the
the
breathing
sex.
space well
And
get by
Zachary
this
won't
shadow
answer
play
his phone.
wisely, and
Once
that everyone
Dana
hurt
admits
by
it,
it will
she
be
can
properly
go.
rewarded in the
Straight
long
to
term.
hell.
I give you my word as the god I'm Hokage on that. Kakashi nodded without further comment. Sununid had given her word. That was all he needed or wanted to hear. She acknowledged his assent and added, consider these added problems, the other hidden villages aside, just imagine what would happen if NZO or Orochimaru got wind of that. She tossed a look at the Stargate and shook her head. And then there's the matter of the fire daimo. What the hell do I tell him? Do I tell him anything? And if I do, will it stay a secret? Jeria frowned. That is a problem, him. By law, you are obliged to tell him something. If you fail to do so, it will provide Danzo the cane he needs to remove you from your position, and he will do it. On the other hand, I do not trust his court. I've only accounted for the obvious spies lurking within it. There is a limit as to how high I can snoop amongst his advisors. Kakashi scratched his head in thought. Can't you just invite him to a special meeting? Sununid shook her head. That would be very tricky. While I don't doubt that he'd happily accept an
That's real
invitation,
nice, Victoria.
if one of those advisors
And
of his
who the
got it
hell
into
thinks
his
I'm a
head that he was
hipster?
being summoned by me, it could get ugly fast. She frowned at
Boom.
the memory of
This
her
is the
last
email I
meeting
need
with
to show
him.
Juliet.
I know how he is.
Now I have to print
The
this
newest
fast and get
suggestion
the
that
hell out
catches
of
his
here.
fancy tosses everything else out the nearest window. Jeria snapped his fingers and smiled. Offer him a celebration. His only son is turning 6 at the end of next month. Turn it into a special occasion for both of them. Smile quickly morphed into a sour face. It's an interesting plan, but there's just one problem with it. His son is a spoiled little monster. Kakashi shivered at the memory of his last encounter with the Fire DOS son. Gah, I'd almost prefer facing Orochimaru with just a wooden spoon first. Jiraiya noted the smile growing on Tsunade's face. He instinctively took a step backwards. What are you thinking? Him. He started looking for potential escape routes as her evil Su-chan's smile surfaced. He hadn't seen that face in a long time, thanked Kami. Og, __, you are so clever. Her cute
This
voice
better
made
convince
everyone
Juliet
within
that Nana
earshot
is
shiver.
innocent.
You can see to it. She threw the puppy eyes jutsu in for good measure and lightly stroked his chest with her hand. Won't you, Jun? Kakashi said a silent prayer for Jiraiya. Jiraiya gulped and smiled faintly. Of course, he would be my greatest pleasure. He added silently, I will have your and make you squeal for this. Kakashi showed why he was the best Jonin in Konoha. If that will be by, and shunted away in a random direction. Everyone else there within eye and earshot made sure they looked very busy as quietly as possible. Several minutes later, the loser of a match of rock paper scissors amongst the Ambu moved towards Sun Unit. The Ambu explained, Hokage-sama, we found a device that resembles the ring nearby. It appears to have been made of the same type of metal and has dozens of symbols on it that match those found on the ring. Carefully remove it from its location. Seal it in a scroll and, well, get this. Pointed to the Stargate. They should have the chamber beneath the civilian shelters inside the Hokage monument prepared by the time we get back. We're not leaving any of this behind for someone else to find. Sun Unity added. Also make sure that the cleanup team removes any trace that these things were ever located here. Hi, the Anbu
Juliet,
replied and
read
bowed,
this.
then moved to join the removal team. Jiraiya amused. How are we going to remove it from that cliff
course.
face? I've never seen anything of its like before, and if it's as heavy as I think I got it,
I'm
Sun
an
Unit
asshole.
interrupted with a smile
I'm
and
sorry,
cracked her
Dana.
knuckles.
You
You
are.
are such a show-off,
And I
except for
hope so.
Jiraiya remarked and started to
You
smirk.
really think I'd mess around
Finish
with
that
No,
sentence and you'll be
but I
buried
get
in the
stupid
cliff.
jealous.
Interrupted,
I owe you dinner.
__, then
Still
saw
love
him
me?
looking at her
And
right
you
hand
do
on
my
his chin
laundry.
and tapping
Thanks,
it with his
Max.
index finger.
You're like the black one
What are you
ninja.
thinking?
Now let's
You
see
old
what
pervert.
Zach has to say
If
about
I could grab
Victoria.
one before your
You
fist
set me
landed.
free.
Perhaps another
Thank
time.
you.
We need to help
Warren's flash
Naruto
drive
right
is on my
now.
desk.
Jiraiya replied, still stinging from that earlier moment between them. Stepped close to him. Hinata, Hyuga and our
Almost
godson are
done.
stuck on another
Get the
planet
flash
and you
drive
have the
and then
balls
I'll
to
go see
think
Warren.
grabbing one of my tits is
Hey,
worth
Dana.
making me shove you into
Seriously,
that cliff.
Thanks again.
Said quietly,
I can't
so
believe
only
Juliet
Jiraiya
locked
heard
me in my
her,
own room.
then sighed through her
Real
teeth.
mature.
I thought you cared enough about him to be serious for once. I guess I was wrong about you. Jiraiya whispered in a flat tone, his face deadly serious.
Victoria is
Listen,
not nice.
you overdeveloped,
I don't get it.
short-tempered,
She has
dried up
everything.
old,
And to
__,
pull that prank on a
don't you
friend?
ever tell me I don't
Just because
care
they're in the
about Nar
Vortex
again.
Club doesn't mean they're
I'll
BFFs.
kick your shriveled old
I'm in
across
it, and
fire
Victoria
country and you
creeps
know
me
I
out.
can do it.
Max, you're smart to be
Flinched
alone
subtly
here.
in fear.
Though
She
Warren
hadn't seen
obviously
this
likes
side of
hanging
him
with
in
you.
decades and it honestly scared her a little. I'm sorry, Jiraiya. I was out of line with that comment. I'm sorry. Sunsade
What do you
whispered
mean?
sincerely,
Oh,
then
nothing.
glanced around.
When you
Since we
open the
know
flash
they're all
drive, didn't you
right,
see the
I
special
never
folder
thought
called
I'd
Max?
say this.
Yeah,
Come by
okay.
my place 9
I
tonight.
gotcha.
Well
Are you
split that
blushing?
bottle. Jiraiya's eyebrows shot up.
Go ahead and
That's
grab the
the
flash
last
drive
one.
whenever.
I know what it means to you, Sunsanade. Haim. Are you sure? Inside his head, a chibi. Jiraiya was doing the happy dance. Nodded. I let our history cloud my judgment about Naruto and them. I insist. Jiraiya promised solemnly. I'll be there and I won't mention this to anyone.
Must protect
Smiled
my
slightly at
precious
his
so
pledge.
Max never has to
Thanks.
chase it
Now,
down
let me
again.
show you why I'm the Hogue. She walked up to the ring,
I
grabbed
better
it
make
with
sure
both
everything is
hands,
still in
and with a
there.
grunt ripped it from the cliff.
I think Warren
She
forgot
set
to
it on
hide
the ground
party
with a
buster
dull
folder.
th hom. You
Not
were
that I
right.
would open
It
it
is
no matter
heavy,
how
about
tempting.
30 tons,
I have
I'd
my
say.
self-respect.
You do the honors. I don't have any blank scrolls on me. Jiraiya replied with a grin. That's what seal masters are for. He took out a large scroll, opened it on the ground near the Stargate, and with several quick hand signs and a precise application of chakra, sealed it in the scroll. Jiraiya stood and walked back to Sun Unit with it. If that's everything, it's been a pleasure going on a mission with you again. He gave her a sly smile. Race you back, loser BYS first round. Everyone,
Of course,
pack
a
it up and
popular
head back
cheerleader like
as Up
Dana
it
would have a
commanded.
million
Then
friends.
turn to Jiraiya. Make it
So
6.
fascinating to get a
Don't
peek
stare
into
at my
Dana's
chest
social
and you
media
have a
world.
deal. Jiraiya
And
gave her a
yes,
mischievous
Max,
smile.
so terribly
4.
wrong.
And I can look on the way back. You are such a pervert. Kay knew when to give in. Keep your comments to yourself and you have a deal. Jiraiya smiled graciously at his minor victory. Deal. On 3. I'm only doing this because I'm in a good mood knowing the brat is okay. So don't expect this nostalgic feeling for the old days to last. 1 2 3. Sunady yelled and exploded from her spot into the trees, followed closely by Jiraiya. As she bounded from tree to tree, she saw him move up next to her and caught him looking at her as she leapt off a branch, her huge bouncing inside her top. It reminded her that she'd gone too far with her comment. It was like a canai in her stomach. She knew he had many faults. And while he had made some mistakes concerning Naruto as well, she was just as guilty as he was, perhaps more so. Things were just calming down after the Third Shinobi War. Then there was the Kyuubi attack. In all honesty, neither of them were ready to claim Naruto back then. She had to do something special for Jiraiya when he came over to share that bottle. She had no intention of sleeping with him, but she had to make it up to him somehow, even if it cost her some pride and a little dignity. 6 p.m. The Iron Kimono Shopping District Connor finally satisfied with the window display for the new Shinobi accessories decided to close early. It had been a less than busy day anyway. It hadn't helped that 2 of her best customers had broken their appointments for fittings. The tunin that had
Damn,
shown up
I
to
better
deliver the
rewind.
I'm sorry notes had been distinctly unallocative and rather pale to boot. Her gut told her something major was in the air, but she still had enough respect for the concept of operational security and the skin of the nervous tunin, not to press the matter further. She shrugged and told herself that it didn't matter. Sooner or later, she'd find out anyway. Of course, she'd never talk about it to anyone else, but she had those moments when a part of her wished that she was back in the game again. As she prepared to flip the open sign by the shop door, she spied Kurani coming down the street. The typical civilian would have noted nothing different or out of place with Konoha's best genjutsu user, but her experienced eyes told her otherwise. Without a second thought, she stepped into the street and put herself directly in Kurana's path. Hotaru scowled as she got closer. Kami, she doesn't even see me. It must be bad, worse than when her and Asuma broke up. She put her hands on her hips and braced herself for what might happen next. She used her best Ononoi voice. I'm an evil, sneaky Awan Nin and you're mine, Ku-chan. She had hoped for a laugh. Hotaru's heart sank as tears started pouring from her friend's eyes. The mask on Kurana's face began to fall apart. She's been declared missing. Ho-chan. In the world of shinobi, missing was sometimes a polite way of saying dead. Hotaru didn't need to hear the name. She knew who it was. She grabbed her friend's hand and dragged her back into her store, flipping the sign to closed and locking the door behind them. She tried to lead Karina to a nearby chair, but they only made it a few steps in before she sank to her knees, embraced herself, and began rocking back and forth. Hotaru gave her friend a sad smile. I warned you not get so close to your genin, Kuch-chan. It hurts so much when you lose them.
Please, leave
I
me
know.
alone.
She did the only thing she could. She knelt beside Kurani, the Ice Queen of Konoha, and held her until her tears ceased. March 26th, 7:30
Hope you enjoyed
p.m.
the show.
Stargate Command.
Thanks for nothing,
SG-1
Max.
Team Room. Jack leaned back in his chair and stared at the computer monitor. He was glad that he had decided to review and edit the report on that mission, the one that had set off the current chain of events. As chaotic as that day had been, it was hardly as surprising that a few important details had gotten shoved to the back of his mind. He selected Save File and smiled in anticipation. One less task to interrupt the upcoming chakra training. Jack turned his attention to the trio occupying the couch.
Hey,
Sam,
why don't you leave
flanked
her
by
alone?
Naruto and Hinata, with
Excuse
her
us,
laptop
this is
resting on her
official
legs,
campus business.
she was showing him a slideshow of the latest Hubble photographs. He couldn't help but smile at the looks of wide-eyed amazement on the pair's faces.
No, you're
As
not.
Sam gave them a running
You're part of
commentary
the
of the
problem,
various
Missy.
images,
I will
a chuckle
remember
escaped
this
as he realized
conversation.
that this was the longest period of time that he had ever seen Na sitting still in one spot and silent since they had arrived at
Oh,
SGC.
Max, that was
He
great.
glanced at Daniel
I
and
think you
noted the
scared him
smile
for
in his
once.
eyes as he peeked
I
over
have to
his
go,
book,
but thank
also
you.
taking in
It
the scene
means
on the
a
couch.
lot. Anytime.
His attention shifted as the phone on his desk rang. Picking up the receiver,
felt like an
he gave the
everyday
standard
hero
greeting.
helping Kate,
SG-1 team
now
room.
Officer David
Colonel O'Neill
Dickhead is
speaking.
after me.
General Hammond's voice was carefully
Maybe I should
neutral.
rewind and
Jack,
mind my own
come to my
business?
office, please. Yes, sir. I'll be right there. The click that followed that brief order told Jack that the answer to his earlier request was probably at hand. As he stood up and closed the window on the report, he easily noted that all eyes were now on him. He broke the silence first. What? Daniel lowered his book and looked at Sam. He's up to no good again. Sam nodded in agreement. Probably. Naruto's face became hopeful. He gave Jack a foxy grin. Are you going to prank somebody? Hinata giggled softly in response to Naruto's question. Jack gave them all his best annoyed face. No. He pointed at Na. You sit, stay here, and behave. Na pouted at Jack's response. Anyway, the boss wants to talk. Got to go. He made straight for the door before any other questions could be tossed at him. As the door shut, Sam opened a new tab. Now then, let me show you some videos taken during the first moon landing. Successfully diverting
I'm glad I
Naruto's
stepped
growing
in that
thoughts of
time.
mischief.
Can't
Equals
stand to see
equals
people
equals.
being bullied.
2 minutes later, General Hammond's office equals equals equals. Jen Hammond replied to the soft knock at his door. Enter. As Jack moved to report, Hammond waved his hand to a nearby chair. Have a seat, Jack. Call. O'Neill briefly
Max?
paused in
How are
mid-step
you?
at the
Here's
break in
your flash.
protocol and settled
Thanks.
into the offered chair.
No problem.
I checked the names you gave me, Jack.
Check out
To
my
be
new
frank,
wheels.
I was a bit
Cool.
surprised at the
Very
request
old
in the
school.
first place.
1978
And I
to
was
be
even
exact.
more
Now we
surprised
can
at
go to
what
the
I
drive-in.
discovered.
There's one
He
in
picked up
Newburgh,
a
just 60
stapled
miles
report
away.
and glanced
You're
through
in
it
the wrong
briefly.
time, Warren.
I can see why
But
you
then,
asked for the
so
one
am I.
man,
You okay?
Master Sergeant Hayes.
It's been one
His background,
strange
the parts
fucking
of which
day.
that aren't redacted,
Man, I saw
are
that
interesting
Victoria
to
didn't
say
take
the
down that
least.
pic of you on Facebook.
Jack nodded in agreement.
Major
He's as
bitch
skilled
move.
and experienced as anyone could possibly ask for, and his special forces background and their specialized training will be a definite plus when it comes to interacting
I don't want to
with
talk
people
about it.
coming from a different
Jeez,
cultural
You're a little
background,
missensitive
which would be the
today.
mildest
I wouldn't
description of
push
our
your luck,
newest
Warren.
guests.
Not in the mood today.
Hammond gave
So,
Jack
did
a
you get a
rare
chance to
impish
check out the
smile.
movie booty on
To
my
be
flash
sure,
drive?
he then reset his face to neutral mode. Jack braced
No,
himself.
I've been way
Here
too
it
busy with
comes.
class
And then you
and
had to
life.
surprise me, and not in
Damn,
a
girl,
pleasant
you
way
had it
with
like
your
a
second
year.
choice.
For a week, I
Hammond
did
shook his
browse through
head.
all the
What were you
titles, Drama
thinking,
Queen.
Jack? This man is, to
Make
put
sure
it
you watch
politely,
Cannibal
toxic.
Holocaust.
Hammond tossed the report back onto his desk.
No
Being
fucking
fair,
way will I
I
watch
contacted
that.
3
My
different
mind is
sources.
twisted enough.
One of them called the
I
man a
laughed my
maniac.
ass off.
Another told me he
So you're
redefined the term
sensitive.
loose cannon.
Ouch,
Hammond
that
crossed his
sounds
arms
awful
across
the
his
way you
chest.
say it.
The third source was genuinely surprised that the man wasn't in Leavenworth. Jack took a deep breath and sat up straight in his chair.
No, I was impressed.
Permission
you
to
had
speak
faster
plainly
pussycat
and
kill
privately,
kill.
sir.
Russ Mayer
Jack
was a
glanced at the
genius of
ceiling
black and
meaningfully.
white.
Hammond
Plus,
pondered
baby
O'Neill's
breasts.
unusual request
Who
for a
would
long
beat your
moment.
sensitive ass
Finally,
down?
he nodded and
If I was
reached for his
lucky.
intercom and flicked a
Speaking of hip
certain
and
switch.
fast, we should cruise
Go
out in my
ahead,
car to an
Jack,
actual movie
and make
this
it
week.
count. Thank
Yeah,
you,
you seem
sir.
distracted.
Jack gathered his thoughts and spoke. With all due respect to your sources, sir, and I'm not going to
I don't
even
wanna
bother to
speak about
ask
it.
who they were, but
This
they
is
couldn't
kind
be
of a
more wrong
crazy
about
day for
Major
me.
von Kreger.
I mean,
Jack pulled
I
out a
literally
notepad
think
and
I'm
pen
going
and quickly
crazy.
scribbled out a
That may
name
be
and
a
number.
pest, but
After
I'm a
I've
good
spoken
listener.
my piece and offered my defense of the
For reals,
Major,
Warren,
call
this
that
is
number.
between you and me.
He slid the paper
not
to
social
Hammond.
media.
The man on
Don't
the other
insult
end
me.
of it will tell you off the
Next,
record what he
go
knows
on.
about the
I
Major.
had this
I
incredibly
had hoped that I
bizarro
wouldn't have to
experience in
use
Mr.
that
Jefferson's
source.
class
He
today.
pointed to the torn note
I mean,
paper, but it seems
life-changing.
unavoidable now.
Have you
Hammond
ever
raised
had
an
a dream
eyebrow.
so
Off the
real
record,
it was
he
like a
looked at the
movie?
number below the name.
Max Caulfield, right?
This is a cell phone number. Who?
You're one of the
Jack
Jefferson's
raised his
photo
hand to hold
groupies?
the question.
I'm one of his
Burn it
students.
after use,
What the
sir.
fuck ever?
And forget that
I know
name
you like
after
to take
you've made the
pictures,
call.
especially
I'm
when you're
calling
hiding
in
out
a
in the
very old
bathrooms.
favor over this matter.
best tell me what you
Hammond
told the
flipped the
principal
paper over and put
now.
his hand over it. I see. Proceed, Jack.
Answer me,
Thank
bitch.
you, sir.
What are you
Equals
talking
equals
about?
equals
I know you're
35
new
minutes
here,
later.
but don't even play
Equals
stupid
equals
with me.
equals.
I'm not new.
Hammond
I've
leaned
lived here
back
for
in his
years.
chair.
Then
If
you should
anybody
know
but
the
you and a couple of
Prescotts
other
own
people
this
had told me
shithole.
all
Then
that.
you don't have to worry
He
about
rubbed
me.
his
Worry
face.
about yourself.
I'd call them a goddamn
not
liar.
analyze me.
Jack
I
nodded.
pay people
I fully
for it.
understand,
Worry
sir.
about yourself,
So then,
Max Caulfield.
I take it you'll be making the call. He eyed the paper under Hammond's hand. Jen Hammond shook his
I could
head.
call the
There'll be
police.
no need for
Do
that.
it. The
Jack,
Prescotts own
hang
the
on to that
pigsty. Get
favor.
away from her,
you.
dude.
Hell, we may need it. He handed the slip
Hey,
back and
leave him
watched as
alone.
Jack took out a
Nobody
lighter,
tells me
burnt
what
it
to
completely,
do. Not
and
my
rubbed the
parents,
ashes
not the
between his
principal,
palms.
or that whore in the
By the way,
bathroom.
you just may be right, and it is a worthy idea. If we send a contact team to Konoha, they
Max?
just might be the
Chloe?
perfect choice.
No
Hammond
way.
picked up the report again. What was their unofficial handles again? Jack smiled. Stan and Ollie, sir. He watched as the general wrote it down on the report's cover sheet. Jen Hammond chuckled at the reference. I'll set the wheels in motion. Jack, your request for a pair of special instructors is approved. I'll let you know when their transfer is finalized. Jack stood and saluted. Thank you, General. March 26th, 7:50 p.m. Hokage Monument. Connor It was a beautiful sunset, easily worth
Nathan
remembering.
Prescott is
But for
messed
Sakura,
up
it had no
and
meaning and little
dangerous.
worth. She sat
This
alone
day
atop the
never
third's
ends.
head.
Oh,
She'd
and
remembered that
thanks,
this had been a
Chloe.
favorite perch for Na. He'd gotten
After
her to
5
come up
years, you're
once
still
years
Max
ago when
Caulfield.
they were still academy students. A smile came and quickly departed
give it
as
a
she
guilty
recalled him
face.
yelling
Please
his
pretend
defiance
you're
to
glad
the
to see
village
me.
below,
I am
shouting out his vow
seriously
to be the
glad
best
to see you.
Hokage ever. The memory of her Baka Naruto being Na brought the tears back. Earlier the word of Team Aids a return had led her on a path of discovery that got worse with each successive checkpoint. After learning the awful news, she had wandered in shock through Konoha and had eventually wound up at a place she knew by heart was his favorite place in the whole world, Ikyaku Ramen, and stepped through the curtain in a pathetic attempt to absorb some of Naruto's personality and cheer her up a little, as he used to do. When she entered and headed for her usual stool, something happened. Something she would have never expected in 1,000 years. Ayami, who was chopping up vegetables, suddenly went stiff and turned to her. Sakura halted in surprise and then froze as Ayame gave her the coldest, most hate-filled glare Sakura ever seen in her life and pointed the gleaming knife at her chest. Then she heard 4 words she'd never forget. You made him promise. Ayami spoke in a low, stern voice, her eyes absolutely blazing with hatred. Sakura bolted from there like she'd never done in her life. Lee hadn't moved that fast in his match with Gar after he dropped his weights. When she finally stopped, she found herself at the only other spot in Konoha she knew that Naruto loved above all others and collapsed. Present equals.
Max,
Here
I'm
she
already
was
grown
hours
up.
later,
What about
having
you?
finally calmed down,
Travel.
staring at the
That
sunset.
would be awesome.
The fading light matched her growing
Explore the
despair and
world,
aloneliness.
go far
Team
from
7
here.
was gone now, and only
Far
she
from me?
remained.
Thanks
It
a
was
lot,
her
dude.
fault. Sasake
Dude,
had
he would
sought
totally
strength
come
elsewhere
with
to
me.
feed his dark
I
fury
need a
launched by
bodyguard
the
for our
death of his
adventures.
family and his clan.
I would
She
be
knew
like
that he had
Lara
seen her
Croft,
lack of
except
focus and
real.
strength,
That would be
and had found
majorly
her
cool.
wanting. She'd gotten
Totally.
Naruto to
We'd
promise
have
to bring
cars
him
and
back.
boats and
In the
planes
fading
all
light,
over for
she truly
instant
realized the
escape.
pathetic
And no
selfishness of her
adults could tell us
actions.
what to do.
That promise had cost
Tell me,
Naruto everything.
what
It
would
was
you do
all
while
her
I was
fault.
bodyguarding you?
The loneliness that engulfed her,
Maybe take
like the
pictures of
growing
our
night,
adventures.
seemed all too
I would
fitting a
love to
punishment
be a
for all the
photographer.
flaws and
As if I
dishonest
ever
feelings
could
that
be.
she had condoned in herself.
talking about?
I made him promise.
Max,
I'm
you are a
sorry,
photographer.
Narut-sama.
Your pictures
Sakura
could be in a
said sadly,
museum.
tears pouring down her
Someday they
cheeks.
will.
She hung her head.
I
She'd
believe
give
in you.
anything if she could take that promise back. Then Kakashi's teamwork saying ran through her mind. She fell over on her left side and curled into a ball. March 26th, 11:30 p.m. Ambu HQ detention level B ===. She sat in the corner of her bare featureless cell. She almost felt like laughing, except she knew that it would only make her feel worse and start her crying again, that she had enough of that, it seemed an oddly fitting end for her. She had convinced her older brothers that the only way to end the shame of Kamizuru clan was to gain possession of the rare Baiku beetle and use it to find the hidden scrolls of the grandfather, the first Sachiage and the founder of Awagaka. The poverty they could live with. They had known little else since the war with Konoha. The insults and sneers had been harder to bear, especially when you considered how badly nearly every other clan had fared against the dreaded Yellow Flash and the Fire Nins in general. Onoke had needed scapegoats badly, and the Kamizuru clan had fit the bill quite nicely. Her older brothers had told her all the stories of what had been. A grand old mansion, land, and all the flowers that would come in the spring. She had never seen those things up close. The younger sister of the Earth Daimyo lived in their estate now, a generous gift of the Sandames. No, she'd grown up in a dirty, crowded little apartment. She slammed the door on that memory. She'd already relived those days earlier in the evening. No, this was rock bottom. She glanced at the empty metal plate on the floor and revised that opinion.
Chloe,
No, that meal had been distinctly better than her usual fare back in Iowa. Oddly enough, that made things easy. The only things left for her was death and up. So then, what to do? She knew that her best options were still in play. For some reason, they wanted to know what had happened to the Hauga girl, and especially the blonde
there's a
brat who had
message.
ruined everything. Strangely enough,
I should be
she
able
had
to
been
find
neither
the tools I
beaten or
need
raped
here.
thus far. That did surprise her. Susan Baki snickered to herself. I wonder what else they lied to
No
us about.
password.
They told us the
Like you
fire
would help
nymphs
me
would
find
roast
tools
our livers
anyway.
before our eyes and play jump rope with our entrails. No, all things considered,
These
they
are
had treated
way
her
too
far
big.
more
I need
decently than she
tiny
would
tools
have
for
ever
that
dared
camera.
hoped for, given the bad blood between the two nations. The truth was, she didn't know what had happened to the two Kona shinobi. All she remembered was a small army of BRZ, identical to her chief nuisance, had come out of nowhere and kicked her. Then she woke up in the tender arms of an
Chloe's
Inuzuka
stepfather
and
is
an
this
Abare,
asshole
no
from
less.
Blackwell?
That was bad
You've
enough.
gotta be
There was
shitting
also
me.
the matter of the odd-looking huge metal ring, the thing that had made her brothers
Chloe's
disappear.
stepdad is head of
She
security at
shivered at the
Blackwell.
memory of that terrible
He
moment.
wants to put
No,
surveillance
all
cameras
in
all
all,
over the
she had
school?
nothing save what little she did know.
Nothing.
And her
This
trump
is
card,
so
the
lame.
Mayaka no Jutsu. Now that was worth something. Given the current state of things, she had no qualms about bargaining with that chit or turning her back on Iowa. That was an easy choice. The Suchi Kag's calculated malice towards her clan had seen to that.
Look at all that food.
She took a deep breath
That's
and
like
ignored
enough
the
spam
itching
for 100
sensation from the
years.
chakra suppression seal on her spine, touching that would only earn her blinding pain. She sat up straight and waited. Soon they'd
Check
be
out the
coming for
muscle
her.
car.
She smiled as she
Chloe's
imagined the
stepdad
looks on
must
their
be a
faces
gearhead.
when she would tell them, "What took you idiots so long?" And then proceed to make the sweetest deal they could imagine. Iwa and Onoke, it was time for her to make her own future. The Kamizuru clan would be
Cool,
reborn.
now it's open.
And she didn't give a damn where that happened. So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.